I mean, yeah, I know. I saw that yesterday. I'm seeing it now. I don't know.
Don't get mad. Get even. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
He warned me, and I knew I'd forget.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget.
Yeah.
And I predicted exactly what would happen. Now my head hurts.
I want you to know, I didn't really lean into that.
Yeah, I know.
Because I knew it was coming. Ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, welcome in. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Howdy, y'all. How we doing? How's everybody? Happy Tuesday, dudes and dudettes. I'm here and tired, but excited.
Stop trying to test it. I need to.
I'm just going to increase just a little bit every time that I talk. Yeah.
I'm trying to find where it needs to be, and you're just every time I touch it, you get louder on purpose, which I appreciate and don't appreciate at the same time.
Clip it. Yeah, it's we got some. We've been toying with the studio a little bit, right? For those of you that don't come on the stream and join us in the chat every single day. We got some new toys for the studio. We got some new camera stuff we've been working with. We had the boards changed up so I can move from the mic that was in front of the camera to the one that's not. We've gone back and forth. And yesterday, over the last week and a half, Captain America, Chris Evans down the hall, has been helping us set up all the different, gears and pulleys and wheels and whatnot in the system. So he switched the mic, which was a little quiet. And he told us yesterday, as we were both trying to get our day ended, hey, I pumped up the volume on the new mic, so it's going to be about twice as loud tomorrow. And twice as loud plus me first thing in the AM. Interesting combination.
Luckily, I always pack acetaminophen or some sort of thing for just such an occasion, which I'll have to use in a little bit. That was piercing, but it's awesome. I think I found it, but we'll see.
Welcome in. It's the Rob Brown Show. That's less piercing. And go with the Damian Priest voice.
Yeah, but you can't. I mean,
I can't do it.
He's got that. It was so deceptive because I thought it would be low, but it was booming, and it just like, why am I getting feedback here? He's that loud. Wow.
He is. Phenomenal show yesterday. Had a great time. Good night last night as we went to Monday Night Raw. And I will tell you once again, the best thing about wrestling is watching non-wrestling people at their first wrestling thing. Brought a buddy of mine, Clay, who is in the soccer group. He's a local youth soccer coach around here. Good dude, phenomenal guy. Brought him to his first wrestling show last night. And he showed up a little late. He coaches girls JV soccer. They had a match. He shows up a little bit late. One of his first full matches he got to watch was Sami Zayn versus Otis. And when Otis hit the worm on Sami Zayn last night, you'd have thought Clay was like a Swiftie at a Taylor concert. He was like, this is the most incredible thing I've ever seen. It's like, yeah, it's electric. It's absolutely electric. It's the best thing ever. He hits me the minute the show's over, right? Actually, he gets to the point where they ring the bell on the main event. And he's like, all right, gotta go. And I'm like, hey, you might want to hang out. They usually do something after the show goes off the air. And he's like, what, another match? I'm like, yeah, they'll do a match, or like the guys in the ring will stay out here and kind of goof off a little bit. It's just fun. He's like, all right. So they did what they did after the match was over. There was a little showdown with Gunther and Jay, and it ends, and he turns and he looks at me and goes, when's the next show? I was like, probably 7-8 months from now. And he goes, oh, that's it? I'm ready to come back. Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. Made a wrestling fan last night because Raw is awesome.
I don't know. Maybe SmackDown comes around before then.
Good either way. He's all in. He got his first taste, and now he's all in. Real good night last night at Monday Night Raw. Had a blast. Thanks again to Stephanie and everybody at WWE for hooking us up. We enjoyed it greatly. But now we're back. Now we're back in the saddle again to rock and roll on some sports talk. How about the Dallas Mavericks? Luka had a bad night last night. I mean, listen, there's a lot of X factors that the Mavs need to go right in order to win, not just this series, but like anything. There's a lot of X factors. They need X out of Y and Y out of Z in order to get there. They need better nights from Kyrie. They've got to commit less turnovers. They got to go to the stripe more frequently. They've got to do something here. They can't shoot 52% from the free throw line. They were 12 of 23 from the stripe. They barely lost. If they shoot 20 of 23, they win the game last night. Can't do that either. But all of these different X factors, all of these different things that have to go right for the Dallas Mavericks to win this series, all of them also hinge around Luka Doncic shooting better than 6 of 20 from the floor, shooting better than 2 of 9 from deep, getting more than 6 free throws. This is interesting, great one. On one hand, Luka Doncic turned in his 5th career playoff triple-double last night. I mean, how many teams in the postseason would love a guy who turns in triple-doubles with some regularity in the playoffs? I know I would. Luka Doncic turns in a triple-double, and yet the Mavs still end up losing the game because on top of the triple-double, Luka had 7 turnovers. I actually think he had 8, and they turned one over. I think he had 8, and they took one off the board because it was like a tip ball or something, but it was still a real bad pass. I don't remember exactly where it was. I watched the highlights of this game last night. I was obviously busy. But all of the X factors that we have talked about for the Dallas Mavericks to win, all of those X factors revolve around needing Luka Doncic to be Luka Doncic. And this is why I think the Mavs are going to have to be active in the offseason, which I think, unfortunately for Dallas, is probably beginning after this series is over, as much as I enjoy them. I think at this point, we've hit a point where the youth and talent of Oklahoma City has started to take over a little bit. But they've got to end up in a spot where somebody else can do something else. You got 21 out of PJ Washington, who has been the breakout star, not just of this series, but I think the breakout star of the NBA as of late. The entire postseason, the breakout star is PJ Washington. And so they bring out PJ. He's got 21 of 7 of 19. You got 17 out of Jones. You got 10 out of Gafford. And then there's Kyrie. Why does Kyrie have 11 field goal efforts? Why does he have 9 points? Why does he have 2 3-point efforts? Why did Kyrie disappear? And just so we're clear, I am not hating on Kyrie. In fact, if anything, we, over the past couple of weeks, have kind of been almost in a weird way celebrating Kyrie Irving on this show.
Yeah, we have. But the one thing throughout his career, he has a game or two where he kind of disappears. And I don't know if he's just like takes foot off the gas, rests a little bit, but he just kind of disappears. He did that in Cleveland. He's done it everywhere he's been.
I almost wonder if he's stat watching from the bench a little bit, and he looks up and he sees Luka Doncic is on a triple-double hunt. He's like, all right, let me get that guy the rock, which, again, makes sense. It's the NBA. You want the ball in the hands of your best player, and Luka Doncic is your best player. But we collectively, the show, has been celebrating Kyrie Irving because from what we've been able to tell, Kyrie Irving has kind of dropped the flat earth sage burning weirdo routine and bought back into being a good NBA player. And he has been a large part of what got the Dallas Mavericks here. But then you get in a game last night where your boy Luka, despite a triple-double, yes, it is weird to say, but Luka Doncic struggled despite turning in a triple-double. And that is a point where I need more out of Kyrie. That is a point where I need Kyrie to look and not say, all right, Luka's hunting triple-doubles. Let me go out there and be the assist machine. Let me go out there and hand it in for Luka Doncic and let him carry this team, which if that's what happened, I'd be good with it. Kyrie Irving did have 9 assists last night. You got to give him credit for that. But if you're out there to help Luka Doncic, I can't have Luka have 12 rebounds to your 1. I can't have Luka have 10 assists to your 9. I can't have Luka have 2 steals to your none. 1 block to your none. It's not good enough. And for a team in Dallas that took a 2-1 lead. And a large part of that was because PJ Washington came out of nowhere and Kyrie Irving has got his bleep together as of late. He just kind of disappeared on us last night. And again, there's a lot more that the folks on the floor could have done. You could have done better than going 50% from the stripe. 12 of 23. Yes, I know it's a takeover 50%, but you get the point. You could have done better than going 50% from the stripe. You could have done better than turning the ball over 13 times. You could have done better at a lot of things. But again, if Luka's going to have a night where he has a struggle bus triple-double, like it was hard for me. And again, I watched the highlights of this game last night. I didn't watch it live. I watched the highlights last night. I watched a little bit more this morning. I did not realize that until I sat down this morning in this chair, not in the Fortress of Nerditude, until I sat down in this chair and we bumped the anthem to start the show. I did not realize Luka had a triple-double. It didn't click for me because it didn't feel like a triple-double. It felt like Luka had an okay night, but struggled as far as the turnovers and struggled as far as, it wasn't Luka missing free throws, but struggled as far as getting to the line. He went 6 times, sure, but like in a game that close down the stretch, I'd expect Luka Doncic would be at the line a lot more. And I don't think this was Oklahoma City's full of superstars, so they're getting all the calls and avoiding the bad ones. I really do think Luka just was off his game a little last night, which again, like I said, I didn't realize until I sat down in this chair to start the show that he went triple-double. But he did. Dallas needs about 13 other things to go right, even when Luka is playing triple-double basketball. And last night you saw why. It's a good Oklahoma City team. It is a very good Oklahoma City team. Dallas can hang with them. I don't think Dallas can win the series. I think they can stretch it out. I think obviously they can now take it to 6. They're going to take it to 6 at the least. I think they could stretch this to 7. But Luka can't do it by himself. Even on Luka's good nights, right? He's had PJ Washington going for 27 or 29. He's had Kyrie stepping up for 22 or 25. Even on his good nights, he's having other guys. Here's my big fear, great one. My big fear is PJ Washington, who is a career 12-point-a-game guy, is at some point going to regress to the mean and go back to being a 12-point-a-night guy. And if he goes back to being a 12-point-a-night guy and I'm still getting 9 out of Kyrie, Dallas is going to get curb stomped on the way out the playoffs, even if Luka is putting up triple-doubles.
I don't believe that's going to happen. I think next game they're all going to play better.
Any reason or just pride?
Well, again, Kyrie takes a game off here or there or just disappears. I always thought it was pouting. Still not sure it's not, that someone, upset him and he's just pouting. Or sometimes you have an off night. I mean, you just do. And maybe he has more than some other superstars, but I think he's going to be fine. It's really about the rest of the team more so than him. The rest of the team needs to step it up, and they have in the other games that they've won.
I do not disagree. I am going to put last night on Kyrie. I'm going to put a little bit of last night on Kyrie.
So if you're two stars, you expect them to score half the points, but you expect everybody else to score at least as much or more than those two guys combined.
No,
right?
I expect everybody else to do exactly what they did. I expect more than 9 points out of Kyrie Irving. I expect better of 4 of 11 and 0 for 2 from 3. I expect Kyrie drive the paint Kyrie Irving to get to the stripe more than 2 times in the game. That's not it. Like I am fine. If everybody else did what everybody else did and Kyrie goes for 18 instead of 9, they win this game going away. If Kyrie they lost by 4 points. They lost by 4 against a Thunder team that can put up 125 in a game. They held them to 100. They held them to 38-point shooting, 25% from 3. Whether it was they held them or it was an off night, either way, If you held them to a century, or if they had an off night and held themselves to a century, that door does not open very often. You got to go through it. If PJ has 21, he did. If Jones has 17, he did. If Gafford has 10, he did. If Hardaway comes off the bench for 6, Lively off the bench for 7, if everybody else did what everybody else did last night, and I just have an average night from Kyrie Irving, the Dallas Mavericks are up on this series 3-1. In fact, I would go so far as to say they should be up in this series 3-1. They should have won last night. And ordinarily, in a spot like that, I would lay back and go, hey, it's playoffs, right? It's playoff basketball. If I'd have told Mavs fans that it was going to be split 2-2 after 4 games, I think most Mavs fans would have been like, oh, hell yeah, that's great. Against the 1 seed. Absolutely, I'll take that. But in what happened last night, and again, if anybody watched that whole game and wants to tell me I'm wrong, I'm here to listen. Again, I've only seen the highlights so far. The Dallas Mavericks should be up 3-1 in this series after last night. It's and again, we collectively have celebrated Kyrie in this kind of new, not weird Kyrie that we've gotten down the stretch. But just because we have celebrated him being a better teammate, frankly, a better franchise player, frankly, doesn't mean I'm not going to knock him when he does not show up at a moment of need. And last night, just an average night out of Kyrie Irving, the Dallas Mavericks are up 3-1 going back to OKC. We'll talk more about it. We'll also talk about the C's and the Cavs. No Spida last night, and yet the Cavs competed. Got a little inspiration from the sideline, though. We'll talk about that series and more when we come back. Rob Lonzo and you on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Do I sound like my nose is stopped up a little bit? I feel like my voice is like...
I can't hear it through all the S's.
Son of a biscuit. That's well played.
I don't know, man. I think everybody's kind of stuffed up, so...
Pouring rain when I got here this morning. Pouring rain. I got out of the car. I walked in the door. Hustling because it was, again, pouring rain. By the time I got up to the upstairs, it stopped. From the time I got out of my car, fought through the rain to get inside, walked upstairs.
Well, it started again. I will tell you that because it rained the entire way here for me. So,
it rained on me all the way here. It just stopped as soon as I got inside.
Don't miss out on this exclusive event. Get your tickets now at thegame.club.com. And remember, coming soon in 2024, it is Highway 292 Trailer Park.
Have you lost weight in the past but gained it all back and more?
What?
Hi, this is Dr. Elliot Hirschhorn with New Life Weight Loss, and we know the
Okay.
secret to losing weight and keeping it off long-term without drugs or surgery. New Life Weight Loss can help you lose 20 to 30 pounds in about a month or two and keep it off without prepackaged meals, no exercising, no drugs or surgery. Go to mynewlifeweightloss.com now.
Hey, it's Rob Brown. I'm getting married this year. I got to lose some weight. I was apprehensive about starting a new weight loss plan. Those things are not easy for me. So I'm thrilled I met up with Dr. E and the folks at New Life. They've been incredible.
What a contrast of voices.
Advice to help me with something I've struggled with. 20 pounds in 20 days is as possible because I just did it. And I'm looking forward to losing even more with New Life.
To learn about our program, go to mynewlifeweightloss.com now to schedule your free consultation. Our expert team will discuss your health goals, help determine the root cause of your weight issues, and put you on a path to success. Call 864-719-2550. That's 864-719-2550 or mynewlifeweightloss.com. That's mynewlifeweightloss.com.
When people have a craving to explore new and traditional Asian cuisines, they head to P.F. Chang's, where scratch-made dishes come from the 2,000-year-old tradition of wok cooking. P.F. Chang's wanted to explore new possibilities for their website. They turned to AmericanEagle.com. AmericanEagle.com re-architected P.F. Chang's website, integrating multiple third-party systems to create a unified digital experience. The results? Improved page speed and performance, personalized content based on users' location, intuitive online ordering, an increase in organic search visibility, and a 40% increase in new users. For scratch-made Asian cuisine, visit your local P.F. Chang's or go to pfchangs.com for website design, development, digital marketing, and hosting that produce efficiency, revenue, and results. Visit AmericanEagle.com. P.F. Chang's and AmericanEagle.com. Another example of the best businesses in the world. Turning to the best in the business for websites, go to AmericanEagle.com or call 877-WEB-NOW1. That's 877-WEB-NOW1.
Sponsored by Lowe's. At Lowe's, save big every day when you buy in bulk. Save 10% when you buy 20 or more select self-leveling underlayment, because Lowe's knows pros.
I should not laugh about that. I know. But look, he's shaking it off. How stupid is that? Oh,
I don't think that ever happened to me.
yeah.
Well, he got even. He got even.
I am. I'm going Ilya Dragunov on that catcher. Just right on his. I mean, come on. That is hilarious.
Oh, yep. That's a broken hand.
Yeah, I forgot to play music. That looked painful.
Sorry, we were kind of locked in as Bryson Stott took a freaking ball off the dome. Catcher for the Mets came up after a strike call, went to throw it back to the pitcher and kind of sidearmed it and threw the ball right into Bryson Stott's head, who was in the batter's box, by the way, not like way out there on the field. Just clank.
Yeah.
Of course, Stott went yard on like 2 pitches later, so we got even.
Yeah, but that's point blank range. I mean,
And then Lonzo starts laughing in his chair like he's in the middle of a freaking Robin Williams routine.
I have never I like slapstick on occasion. This would be that occasion.
Yep.
It just because I've never seen that happen before. And I'm also thinking about, okay, so velocity, I mean, you're getting right there. So would it hurt more after the ball left his hand? I mean, a distance.
Yeah, I mean, the ball.
Than it would being right there.
No, the ball is at its greatest velocity the instant moment it leaves your hand.
Okay.
Yeah, I would rather take it. Not that it is a massive distance, but I would rather take it. Why is baseball so funny right now, dude? Like, we're watching highlights from yesterday's game. We're watching highlights from the Orioles Blue Jays game. They just showed a close-up of a Toronto home run that goes over the fence, and the slow-mo cap has got a fan's like face sticking in the side of the scene, like he's peeking in on a horror movie scene, staring at it.
That wasn't why I was laughing. The guy behind him was spread-eagled, getting ready to catch the ball, and if the baseball player didn't catch the ball, he was going to lose a groin. You didn't notice that? The ball trajectory was heading right towards that.
Not.
Yeah.
Oh, man, baseball providing some comedy for us this morning. All right, let's take a look at the other series that went last night. 109-102 winners, and the Boston Celtics were lucky to get a win over the shorthanded Cleveland Cavaliers last night. The Cavs were without not just Donovan Spida Mitchell last night, but they were missing Jared Allen, their number one rebounder as well. Jared Allen was out with a rib issue, and Spida was out with a hammy issue. Yikes. And yet, Cleveland kept finding ways to make it close. This game, to me, illustrated exactly why I do not trust the Boston Celtics. That last night's game was the reason. There is, again, much like I said with Dallas, even though Boston won, there is no reason, with all due respect to the Cavs, no reason without their top 2 players on the floor that Boston lets this be a close game. And it was a close game. There was a 13-3 run to cap the first half that Cleveland got back into this game. I think they trailed by 5 at the break. Boston had them in a 7-point hole to end the first quarter. And to me, should have gone full Undertaker on him at that point. Should have buried him right then. But didn't. Let Cleveland climb back into this 13-3 run to end the half. Cleveland brings it to within 5. Boston gets that lead to 10 at the end of the third quarter, and Cleveland just chips away at the fourth quarter. In fact, there was a couple of spots late in that game where Jason Tatum kind of had to take over and hit a couple of big plays just to make sure that the C's didn't give that lead away. Now, I am absolutely glad to have superstar Tatum back because there are games every year in the playoffs where Jason Tatum just kind of reverts back to the mean, just kind of plays average NBA basketball. And much like I said with Luka, the Celtics can do a bunch right. Luka has to do everything right, and then the Mavs have got to have some other good things. Boston's got some escape plans if Jason Tatum has an off night. They can be picked up by Jaylen Brown. They can be picked up by Derek White, who, by the way, Derek White is part of the reason that this game was closer than it needed to be. Derek White has been a revelation in these playoffs. He has been one of the breakout players. We talked about PJ Washington for Dallas. Derek White's been that guy for the Boston Celtics. Last night, 1 of 6 from the floor, 1 of 4 from the arc. He ended with 5 points, including 2 free throws. What do you want? He had a 3-pointer. He had 2 free throws, and that's all Derek White contributed. And again, the problem when you have a breakout like this for a team like Boston, who over the past couple of years, let's call it what it is, Boston has had a handful of spots where it feels like they get lazy in the playoffs. And I think last night was one of those nights. I think Boston stepped onto the floor last night, or at least I can't come up with a better explanation. I think Boston stepped onto the floor last night. They looked across at the Cavs, who had no Donovan Mitchell, had no Jared Allen, and went, fellas, let's just roll out the green jerseys, right? Let's just walk out there. We got this. And then LeBron shows up on the sideline, gets his standing ovation. All of a sudden, the crowd is white hot, and the C's are, I think, out of rhythm. The interesting thing, or my opinion, the interesting thing about momentum in basketball is that it's easy to maintain, but it's hard to create. You know what I'm talking about? Does that make sense? Like it's easy to make when you get into a rhythm and you're hot, right? The threes are falling. You're bringing down the thunder on a couple of big dunks here and there. When the momentum is rolling, it is easy to keep it rolling. And if you're the other team, it's hard to stop it. It is hard to get the momentum rolling in the NBA. It's hard to do.
Why was LeBron there?
Because he's an Ohio guy.
There's no chance that maybe since someone got cleared yesterday that he's just out and about. Are we going to see him at other games where he might be like talking to people about,
Maybe the Lakers say they want him back under any conditions. And I want to talk about that a little later.
I'm just saying him talking about Bronny, not talking about himself.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But I think when the Lakers said under any conditions, I think that was a wink, wink, we'll draft Bronny. If that is indeed what you want, we will draft that guy. Even if we didn't have plans to, if that's what it takes to get you back in the building, we'll draft Bronny. I'll come back to that in a little bit because apparently this JJ Redick rumor is picking up steam.
All right. It just seems like it's such a tease for that crowd, though. I get that he has a home there. He probably has like 15 homes. Good for him. But maybe he just wanted to go watch basketball.
I really do think it was. I think LeBron's an Ohio guy. I think no matter where he's playing, LeBron's probably always going to have love for the Cavs. And I think he lives in Ohio. I think he just wanted, LeBron can, this is true. I did the math. LeBron can afford floor seats. But
yeah,
probably both.
Yeah, he could probably afford,
he could probably build a suite on the floor if he wanted to.
Yeah, he could buy the entire front row.
Yeah.
For sure.
LeBron's got front row seat money. So, no, I mean, come on. If you're a Cavs fan and you're in the building and LeBron just shows up suddenly and randomly at a playoff game, you're like, he's coming home, right? We're getting him one more time. One more title run at a Bron in C-Town. I think LeBron just wanted to enjoy a game. If I'm a Cleveland fan, if I'm on Cleveland radio this morning, I'm waking up and going, guys, everybody take a breath, all right? He's going to stay with the Lakers because the Lakers have basically said, like, we'll do whatever you want. We're gonna, I was going to use an expression there. We're going to W word ourselves out for you, and I don't know if that's appropriate for the radio or not, so I won't. We're going to streetwalker ourselves out for you. We're going to lady of the night ourselves out for you.
You could just say prostitute, I guess.
We're going to hooker ourselves out for you. All right? We'll do whatever you want, Bron, if you'll come back. Just come back to us. We swear we'll be the perfect partner if you'll come back for us. I think Cleveland fans are going to get real aroused at the chance of LeBron coming back. He's not going to, dudes. He's not. So, anyway, let's get back to this game for a minute. I think the Boston Celtics the last couple of years have had a propensity to get a little lazy, to play down to their opponent as opposed to making their opponents play up to them. And I think last night was the perfect example of that. I think last night they said they got no Spida, they got no JA, they don't have a rebounder, and they don't have a scorer. So we're good. We're good. We're going to be just fine. And they rolled out. They were lazy. Jason Tatum had to save him. Jaylen Brown had to play old school Jaylen Brown. Ends up with 27 points on 9 of 15 from the floor, 2 of 3 from the arc. They had to go out and do something special, the two superstars, to carry this team to a win. And they did it. That team, that Boston Celtics team, they're going to get away with it against Cleveland. They're only going to get away with it against Cleveland with no Donovan Mitchell and no Jared Allen. If D-Mitch and J.A. are on the floor last night, the Celtics lose that game. And the Celtics are 2-2 in this series. They got very lucky. But again, I think the effort that they brought was only because there was no Spida and only because there was no Jared Allen. If those dudes are playing, you might get a different Boston team. But if Boston is going to start playing lazy, if they're going to start taking nights out, this is why the Celtics have been bounced from the playoffs the last 2 years, because they get in these spots where they play lazy basketball. And it showed last night. This is why I did not take Boston to win the NBA Finals. This is why I didn't take Boston to win the East. Last night, even a banged up Knicks team might have gotten Boston last night. Maybe not the Knicks team that played in the last game and got smoked by 30. But the Knicks team up until that would have beat that team last night. And honestly, I think the Pacers run the Celtics out of the building if they play like they did last night. The Pacers smoke last night's Boston team. So my question is, did they learn, or are they going to keep doing the thing that's gotten them bumped from the playoffs for the last couple of years in a row? Right now, I got no reason to believe they won't. All right, let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute, got a few more thoughts on the playoffs as we've got a couple of games going tonight. We've got some NHL, the Carolina Hurricanes. They postpone elimination, one more game, go up to the barn in New York and get a road win. Carry some momentum. Can they get another one? Can they extend it to a game 7 despite being down 3-0 at one point? All that more coming up on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Trey, I did enjoy Raw. I will say, I think it's more fun when you go with a bunch of people you know. We had 10 of us last night. It was me and a couple of buddies, and then a handful of dudes and dudettes from the Swamp Rabbits that got some tickets. And we had a great time. The little tailgating on the top. We always go up on top of the... Trey, you've come out and hung out with us. We always tailgate the top of the parking garage for like a couple hours before the show. And then very much enjoyed going in.
Seriously. Doing real good.
Really? Did he just ask that?
I didn't hear that last night.
I get it.
Was this from last night?
Yeah, but I don't think this was. I think this might be a digital exclusive.
Carlito,
No,
Could
it
be
wasn't.
wrong.
I remember
wasn't?
it.
what
Okay.
happened out there?
That was cool.
That was cool. Hey, he said it.
He said it.
Yeah, man. Carlito. Yeah, but you talked about Ray earlier. I'm sure the boys are going to have your back. But you're going to handle your business, right? Yeah, of course. Okay, good. Because the crew doesn't roll with cowards. Don't let us down, amigo.
Them being like a high school clique is fun.
I think this is more so a move because Dom's hurt, and they need another guy in there. I'm just guessing. I wonder if Dom wasn't hurt, would this be a thing?
I don't know, but I was glad they finally had Carlito reference him losing his spot to Dragon Lee. Whoa, excuse me. Holy cow.
It's just easy, cost-effective, and dependable shipping. Tune your business's frequency to success and turn shipping to your advantage. Learn how at USPS.com.
So who you want to see take Gable out? I mean, Otis is the obvious choice, but
He got slapped in the face last night.
Yeah, hard. Because it just popped up on my feed. I saw it, but still. He gets attacked in the back with a pipe, and you find out it was Maxine.
Oh. Oh. So this is a somewhat interesting story. I think it should be to all of you. The Buffalo Bills have decided to handle a situation that has been ongoing in really professional sports at large in a very interesting way. John Perry is or should I say, was an ESPN employee. John Perry was the rules analyst for Monday Night Football. On MNF, if there was a questionable ruling, whoever was in the box, let's get ESPN rules analyst John Perry in here. John, what do you think about that decision? And John would come on and say, well, according to Rule 7.C31984, subsection 4, paragraph 9. And he would give a breakdown of the reason the play was called, whatever it was called. And that's a position every broadcast has. And it makes sense, right? A lot of people don't necessarily know the rule book inside and out. So to have a guy in there that understands the rule book but can also put it into regular people words is very helpful. The Buffalo Bills made him a former ESPN employee because the Bills have hired John Perry as a, quote, officiating liaison, end quote. That according to the New York Post. Perry did confirm that he was leaving the ESPN network to join a team, but he did not confirm which team or what role he would get. There was a lot of people like, wait a minute, like what administrative role does this guy fill? Well, it turns out that the Bills have effectively created a new role for him. That role is going to be officiating liaison, where his task will involve, according to the New York Post, assisting the coaching staff on replay decisions and rules interpretations. Basically, John's going to sit in the Bills box with a headset and a microphone on, and when something happens and Sean McDermott's like, do we replay that? They got a guy. They got a rules analyst in the box who's going to look at it on TV and go, yeah, throw the red hanky. Or no, don't do it. Don't waste it here. That's an interpretive, subjective decision. You're not going to win it. I find this, frankly, not just a good decision. It is shocking it took this long for a team to get here.
Yeah, I feel bad about suggesting this. I really do. But another thing about having a rules guy there is he can tell you how to get around certain rules. I'm just, so here's the rule. How would you call this? How could we get around getting this called on us?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. So one of the things that is done at every level of every sport is coaches looking for the rules and trying to find ways that they can take advantage of them. That's sports, dude. There was a decision, there was a move a couple of years ago, and it's just coming into my brain, so you'll have to accept my apologies for not remembering who it was. But there was a player, a kick returner, who remembered that if the ball is in the field of play, but is touched by a player who is out of bounds, the ball is considered out of bounds. And this kickoff returner made this brilliant play once where the ball gets kicked coffin corner on a kickoff. He runs out of bounds, puts his feet on the white, falls back into the field of play and touches the football. Well, by the letter of the rule, that ball's out of bounds. And on a kickoff, that's a violation. That's an illegal procedure against the kicking team. His team now comes all the way out to the 35-yard line, and he didn't have to do anything. And everybody went, holy crap, that's brilliant. And you saw kickers trying to emulate that anytime a kick. That's why you don't see kicks to the corners on kickoffs anymore. Because if it comes up short, kickoff returners now know, according letter of the law, they can do that. And I don't think, I got a crap memory, I don't think the NFL has changed that rule or has modified that rule to prevent it. So that was an interpretation of the rules that helped the kickoff returner have a great play. Coaches are always looking for that. But I also think less than necessarily Sean McDermott saying, hey, John Perry, you got any advantages for us? You got any spots where we can circumvent the rules or take advantage of the rules? Think about right now how valuable instant replay challenges are to NFL coaches. They're wildly they can quite literally shift the momentum of a game if you hit them in the right spot. It's 3rd and 2. They complete a wild pass, questionable catch over the middle. And they got a first down going into your territory. And all of a sudden, McDermott whips out the red hanky. They go check it. Would you look at that? The nose of the ball hit the ground. Or he bobbled it just a little bit and lost control going to the ground. That is not a catch. And now all of a sudden, instead of 1st and 10 with the momentum, now it's 4th and 3, and they got a decision to make. Those challenges can become extraordinarily beneficial at the end of a show. They can change everything about a game. And so if you are an NFL coach, you want a guy with the most extreme knowledge of the rules of the game to be the first guy in your ear telling you do or do not toss the red hanky onto the pitch. That's what you're looking for. I want an NBA rules expert who is going to be the first guy in my ear going, oh, yeah, throw the flag. That's not even a subjective call. Or this is an entirely subjective call here, Doug. If you throw the flag, there is a chance you win it, but there's a chance you lose it. Because it's a subjective call, and I see it this way, but he might see it that way, and his way, since it was the way. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't think it's so much about a guy that's going to show up at camp and go, here's how you subvert the rule. Here's how you get around this. I think it's more a guy that's on game day that can go, hey, man, if you keep doing this or if you do that, or throw the flag, throw the replay challenge, you're going to win.
I get all that, but there's also the added benefit that the guy could tell you how to get around the rule. I'm just curious if this is going to become a trend.
Oh, hell yes, it is. I guarantee you it is. And like I
Or
said,
is this a way to get the guys out of the booth who can actually see what the play is and always, well, I wouldn't have called that. Well, this shouldn't be called. So you get those guys out of there so you don't have anyone second guessing the refs that are on the field now.
no, these guys are going to get replaced by more of these guys. There's always going to be some former official that's willing to take $1 million a year to go sit in on Monday Night Football. And even if they don't do that, I'll go ahead and tell you right now, I will, if you want to replace this guy, ESPN, just call me. You give me $500,000 a year, I will do nothing but read the NFL rule book from here till September 5th. I will have that thing memorized down to the page number if you want that guy. There will always be some guy who can go, I don't think you need to be just like I don't think every broadcast needs a former player, but you understand why they have them, right? Not to me, you can put a box of great broadcasters together without having a former player in the booth. So why do we keep going to former players? Because they offer a perspective of somebody that's been on the field or on the court or whatever, that no matter how long I do this industry, no matter how long I do this job, I'm never going to be able to say, here's what's happening in the huddle, or here's what's going on between the coach and the quarterback. I've never been there, right? I could be the William Shakespeare of play-by-play, but I can never tell you the perspective of a guy on the field. Only a guy on the field can. That's why Tom Brady's there. That's why Greg Olson's there. That's why Troy Aikman's there. It's the same thing with rules. I could sit there all day long. I could study, read the rule book. I could become the most knowledgeable rules guy in the game. I could have the rule book memorized front page to back. But I've never had to stand on the field and make a real-time subjective decision about what's a penalty or not. I've never had to make a real-time subjective decision about, is that a hold or is it not? Is it far enough away from the tackle that it doesn't impact the play, or is it close enough that it might have? Is that offensive or defensive pass interference? Both of them had their hands on each other. Which one of those am I calling here? I've never had to do that. So I think it is helpful, at least in this case, to have a guy in the box who's done that. And there's always going to be some retired referee who did it for a couple of years who's willing to come out of retirement to do this. But you asked the question, is this going to be a trend for teams? Not only will it be a trend, I'll be willing to bet there's 32 of these guys by the time September 5th rolls around. I think you're going to have a lot of GMs that woke up today, read this story and went, holy crap, how didn't I think of that? How did I not think of that? This is brilliant from the Bills, because not only did you start the trend, but you got the primary guy. You got the number one guy at this. There are some other rules officials out there, rules experts that are on broadcast that are going to be out of this box soon. But you got the number one. You got the Monday Night Football guy. This is the number one guy at that thing. Everybody else is going to be falling in line after this. This is a brilliant move from the Buffalo Bills. It is absolutely going to be followed up by other teams. It is absolutely going to become a trend. Because why would you not do this? That's my biggest takeaway is, how do we make it to 2024 before somebody decided, we should probably hire an ex-ref to come in here, not just to show up during camp and coach us on how officials work, but to sit there on game day with the headset on and go, Doug, you're going to want to challenge that. That's definitely a holding, Doug. Go ahead and throw the flag on that, Doug. Come on, Doug. Do it, Doug. How did we just get to that point? It's brilliant.
A way to go. Maybe you should have spent that time and money on finding Josh Allen a receiver. Maybe you should have done that, but that's,
So they got Keon Coleman,
Mhm.
soon to be NFL legend, NFL icon, the Undertaker mocker, Keon Coleman. You can't tell me you don't like that guy. Even if he's a Bill, you can't tell me you don't like that guy.
Oh, no.
That guy's amazing.
I love how real he appears to be, but how real is he on the field? We'll see.
We will see. The answer is leading wide receiver on your 13-0 national champion Florida State Seminole football team. Almost as good as the 2017 undefeated national champion UCF Golden Knights. The couple of amazing players coming off of both of those.
That
teams.
sounds like stuff that you just made up.
Did not. Both of them were very much undefeated in the regular season,
Mhm.
13-0,
Mhm.
for sure.
Mhm.
For sure. Listen, I don't disagree. I'll be straight up. I adore Keon Coleman. I do have questions about whether or not Keon Coleman can be a legitimate number 1 wide receiver. I think he can be an outstanding number 2. I don't know if he can be a great number 1. Could he be? Absolutely, he could be. I don't know if he can. I will agree with you that Buffalo came into the offseason with one job, one objective, and one objective alone. It was to find a star wide receiver to pair up with Josh Allen, because he needs it. And I don't think they did that this offseason, at least not yet. We got to see if Keon Coleman develops into that guy. I hope he does. I hope we are talking about Keon Coleman for decades to come. I love that kid. I don't think that they did that. I will agree with you. But I'll say this. If you want to catch Andy Reid, if you want to catch the Kansas City Chiefs, you've got to do everything you can do. Everything. And this is something, Texter said, yeah, hiring an ex-ref gets them closer to the Chiefs. Not, again, on the field, talent-wise, you are correct. It absolutely does not. It absolutely does not. But you need everything that you can do to be done to give yourself a chance. And to have a guy, to have a spot where you've got a dude up in the box who can look down. And it's not just necessarily, Doug, throw the flag, Doug. That's a replay, Doug. But think about it this way. This guy's watching every snap, right? He's not just tuning in when there's a question. He might be able to get on the mic and go, hey, Doug, left tackle's holding. Like a lot, Doug. You might want to talk to him, Doug. And then Doug can walk over and go, "Hey, bro, we got John Perry up there. He's telling me you're holding every play. Watch out on that." Right? And I'll be straight up. The majority of the impact of a hire like this, Lonzo, is what we won't see. It's going to be invisible impact. It's not just going to be the things we do. Like after a game, "Hey, Sean McDermott, you threw the flag on that replay. How did you see that?" And you go, "I didn't. John Perry did." That's a visible impact. Yeah. It's the invisible impact that I think matters here. It's the invisible impact of John Perry in the box going, "Hey, your left tackle's holding. Hey, you need to tell your wide receiver to get up on the line because if he stays that far back, they're going to flag him. Hey, your running back is throwing chop blocks. If he keeps blocking like that, you're going to get a flag." He's able to say from a referee's perspective, if X, then you're going to get flagged. If Y, you're going to get flagged. Here's what I'll be looking for. Let's get 7, 8, 9, 10 games deep in the season, and let's see where Buffalo is on the most to least penalized team list. If Buffalo ends up as the 31st or 32nd most penalized team in the NFL, if they end up being one of the least penalized teams in the NFL, then I think we look back today and we go, what a hire, dude. What a brilliant hire. What a great move to open that office up. If we get to week 9, 10, 11, and Buffalo's one of the most penalized teams in the NFL, we're going to go, all right, what's it matter? But I will go ahead and tell you, to respond to what Lonzo asked me when we started this conversation 30 years ago. Yes, this is going to be a trend. Your team, I'm not talking to Lonzo, your team. I'm talking to all of y'all, your team. Your team will have one of these guys in the next month. Book it. Watch it. This is worth the salary.
You know, Rob, there's not that many good referees, according to some in the game. So if you're taking them all and giving them jobs, that means reffing will go down possibly.
That's very interesting because one of the thoughts that I had was, what if you start seeing the NFL hiring guys out of the officials union? Right? What if you see NFL teams reaching into the NFL Referees Association and hiring active refs, on-field refs out of their ranks to come do this? Because I'll tell you, I think NFL teams will pay more than an NFL officiating job will pay.
I think you're just thinking NFL. This would filter down to college.
Oh, hell yeah.
Quick.
Absolutely. Not just NFL and college. This will filter to other sports. You don't think that the NBA at some point, look at plays like this that we're watching right now, right? Jones coming down on Giddey last night. It's clean block, but then he lands on top of him. You don't think that NBA teams won't start looking and go, what if we bring in a former ref? What if we bring in a current ref? I don't know why we keep saying former. What if we bring in a current referee to be our official liaison?
No way they could work in the NFL and then so in their off weeks do that for a team. I don't know.
Oh, I don't think this will be an off week job. I think this will be I'm not a ref anymore. I work for the Bills. I work for the Saints.
Again, that's what I thought. But
yeah.
I thought you were implying that they would on their weeks when they weren't working, they would go work for a team.
No.
Specifically.
I think these teams are going to make these jobs. You are not a referee anymore. You are the official liaison for the Baltimore Ravens, for the Kansas City Chiefs, for the New Orleans Saints. That's your full-time gig, which is why I'm saying the NFL may have to start. The NFL may. You were right. That's really funny. The NFL.
He saved that guy's life. That's
He really
what he just did.
The NFL may have this. May be, and on top of that, maybe this is a catalyst for getting more accountability for refs. The NFL's got to start paying refs better, which means they can start demanding more of them. I'm intrigued by how this goes. I'm also intrigued by what wonderful stories Lonzo was about to present us in this Sports Flash.
It's me. I'm a storyteller. Including this, the Cleveland Cavaliers put up a fight, but with Donovan Mitchell unavailable, fell just shy of the Boston Celtics, 109-102. Jason Tatum scored 33, and Jaylen Brown had 27 in the win. While the Cavs shot only 7 free throws in the losing effort, the Celtics now lead the series 3-1. The 1-seeded Oklahoma City Thunder tied their series with the Dallas Mavericks at 2 after a 100-96 win last night. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 34 and added 8 rebounds on the win, while Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving combined for just 27. Yeah, I didn't turn the light on, so I can't see. Tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for our brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, and a whole lot of fun. And it's all Wire to Wire.
That was excellent timing.
What?
That was excellent timing.
Yeah, well, I know. No, thank you. I appreciate that. I will not do that again. I'm Bill Brooks, and you are not me.
I need some jam cam in my life.
Bill Brooks reads the classics. I'm Bill Brooks. Today we're reading Shakespeare. Friends, Romans. Lend me your ear. We come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. The good that men do live on. Evil is oft caught on the jam can.
Carolina Top Dressing has been transforming, smoothing, and nourishing lawns around upstate South Carolina. We are passionate about giving you the healthiest yard on the block, residential or commercial, with top dressing, aerating, and overseeding services. Trust Carolina Top Dressing with your career view.
We sang Michael Cole's birthday last night. He turned 60 yesterday.
Yeah, I saw the video just popped up. He looked really embarrassed, like he didn't see it coming.
They do during the show. I don't know if they did this last time, but in the show they do the McAfee minute where they just give Pat a microphone, he gets on the table and just talks to the crowd.
No, that doesn't happen on the show itself.
Correct.
So that's the
it's only when they're in commercial break.
Yeah.
They gave Pat a mic, he stood on the table and he just talked to the crowd. Well, he jumps up on the table and he starts talking about the GOAT of GOATs. And he goes, Michael Cole turned 60 today. Will y'all sing with me? So the whole crowd sang Michael. And Cole, you could tell, was like, come on, Pat. So at one point, Michael Cole like leans down on the desk like this, and he's like ignoring the crowd. McAfee takes his boot, puts it on Cole's shoulder, and pushes him back in the chair so he has to sit up and look at the crowd. And then he starts yeeting in Michael's face. It was hilarious.
She needs a social media associate to help her with the hype. Indeed can help her hire great people fast. I need Indeed.
Chad Gable needs a teachable moment. Yes, he does. Mitch, welcome to the channel, bud. Great to have you. Oh, I sound like a millennial. Welcome to the channel. One's in the chat. Who is hiring Angel in the MLB? Oh, God, nobody.
One's in the chat. I don't even know what language you're speaking now. The world is going on.
He yeeted in his face, Wesley.
Yeah, he did.
I got to tell you, dude, Jay won that match, jumped up, and when the crowd was yeeting, the whole crowd was doing it. I have not seen anything like that since the Yes Chance. Like, it was incredible.
New life in the first break.
Okay. Clay, my rookie wrestling fan, looked over me. He's like, this is really cool. I'm like, isn't it? It's the best. I had to make sure my noise canceling was on.
Yeah, because we know that I'm extremely loud.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. Hour number 2 of the Rob Brown radio program is underway. Let's go. Great to have you guys this morning. Happy Tuesday. Ugly morning across the upstate. It did not rain this morning. It monsooned this AM. My entire drive here felt like my freaking car needed an outboard motor, man. It was rough getting in the sand. If you are out on the roads this morning, if you're one of those unfortunate few that finds themselves on their way to work this AM, take your time. Give yourself extra time. Hey, listen, jump in the car 15 minutes earlier. It just means you get to listen to an extra segment of the Rob Brown Show on the way to work, okay? Jump in the car a little early because the roads aren't slick. They are flat out flooded around a lot of the upstate. So be very careful on your way into the job this morning. I know we say that every time it rains, but it did not rain this morning. It stormed.
Definitely an interesting commute out there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, in the dark, at least it's daylight now. So that helps some.
It was the first time in a while that I was nervous on my driving to work. That's how hard it was raining when I was on the way here. And I leave my house around 4:15 on most of the time, around 4 to 4:15 a.m. I got on the road this morning at 4. I built in the extra time to make sure I was here on time. It was the first time in a hot minute I was genuinely nervous because not only was it pouring, but every now and then you come up to spots of the road where it's like, oh, this is a lake. I have to drive through a lake now. It was wild.
Also, just a tip, if you're going to be someone who drives like 50 miles an hour.
Don't put your flashers on.
Well, that too, but move over to the right 2 lanes.
Yes.
And leave a lane open for the crazy people.
Look, when it is pouring rain, I'm not the dude that gets mad at you for driving like responsibly. Like, number one, don't do half of the speed limit. Okay, that's actually more dangerous than driving closer to the speed limit.
Witnessed that a couple times this morning.
Yep, I was stuck on a road, actually getting onto the interstate. I'm only on the interstate like 2 miles, right? But I got to jump on the interstate every day to get here. I was behind a cat on the on-ramp who merged onto the interstate at 22 miles per hour this morning. I know it's raining. That's more dangerous, dude, because it also means I've got to merge at 22 miles an hour. Do not do that. And number 2, don't put your flashers on. Don't. I don't know why people keep doing that. We see you. You have lights on your car. That's what those red steady lights are for. Stop.
Yeah, but I've mentioned it to some people who are from here who look at you like you just slapped them in the face if you say that. So, I mean, it doesn't, what's it supposed to do?
Then consider me Rick James. Take your flashes off. You're making it worse for everyone. You're just distracting is what you're doing. Turn your flashes off. Hey, it is 7:03 in the morning. You are 56 minutes and 3 seconds away from having to clock in for the first shift. And if you've got to work today, you're going to take a break. Hey, you're legally allowed, required, demanded to take a break. So do that. Walk down the hallway, go to the water cooler. Make sure you time it up with that one coworker you actually like. You know the one that I'm talking about. Jim, down in accounts receivable. Jim's great. Love Jim. Everybody loves Jim. So text Jim. Hey, man, water cooler, 10 minutes. We got stuff to talk about in the world of sports. Don't send that. That's a weird text to put it that way. Just say, yo, man, water cooler, 10 minutes. He'll know what you're talking about. And when you get there to meet Jim to talk about sports, you're going to be talking about these 3 things.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar? The almanac of the
absurd and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying,
You must chill!
even before they take their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the Water Cooler Cheat Sheet on the Fan Upstate.
It is the Water Cooler Cheat Sheet, the top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you get to the office and start talking sports with your coworker or coworkers if you are very, very lucky. When you get to the office, here's what you're going to need to know. Let's start with item number 1. Why did I do that? With item number 1.
You kind of went Casey Kasem there. It's just, yes.
What a reference.
We now have a long distance dedication.
Here's item number 1. Your top 3 items of the sports day. It's like Casey Kasem. Because
you can never do base again after yesterday.
No, I can't. Dude, that was infuriating.
Damian Priest, it's just so natural.
Why do you have to be cooler than me at everything? You're taller than me. You're jacked. You're a world heavyweight champion. You've got a voice like, I don't know, like Barry White and
you can play
James
God.
Earl Jones
God
had a love child, and it was Damian Priest.
Yeah, he can play God in a video game.
It's unbelievable.
He's got a future in voiceover if he wants to do it. Yeah,
it's unbelievable. Also, by the way, I'm very mad at Damian Priest. Very mad at Damian. Let me tell you why I'm mad at Damian.
Because you didn't get to hold the belt?
No, that's not why.
I still have never done
over
that.
I was really upset, but I got over that.
We got to remember next time someone comes in, I still have never held a belt before.
We're fixing it. I feel like if R-Truth had the belt when he came, he'd have totally let us do it. So here's why I'm mad at Damian. We break every time we get a wrestler on. Lonzo and I are looking for that one thing that's going to get us on the dirt sheets, right? We're gonna get a Meltzer mention every time. We've done it with R-Truth. We broke Captain Insano from Paul White when he was here.
Gunther.
We got Gunther announcing his dream match.
Yeah.
Like we every time we get somebody on, they give us something that goes dirt sheet. We didn't get that out of Damian. It was very upsetting. And then I found out we could have, because literally right before he came on the show yesterday, he signed a new deal with WWE. Not just a new deal, but a new deal that gave him creative control over his character, creative control over his theme song, and gave him a Hollywood clause. He's allowed to start doing movies and TV now.
Okay, so after I ask him that question,
yep,
really?
That would have been the moment where he could have been like, well, I did sign a new contract literally this morning that allows me to start doing that. So yeah, and we would have got the mention, but Damian held out on us a little bit.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
a little upset by that.
I didn't know anything. I just asked that question, and really,
he got like a little glimmer for a second when you asked that. I'm like, oh, he's got something in the works. Turns out he had just like literally that AM before he came on the show. So when we said, hey, the Rob Brown rub is real. You do something on the show, something good happens to you. What is it? The answer was Damian Priest, the same day he was coming on the Rob Brown show, signed a fat new contract.
Hey, don't you think he would make a great brother for Vin Diesel and something?
I don't hate that.
Yeah.
I don't hate that.
Because their voices are so, that would be.
Vin Diesel and Damian Priest versus Roman and Rock in a Fast and the Furious remix. I'm all in.
That would never happen because, Rock and Vin Diesel won't work together.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's that.
Dwayne. Whoa. All right, that's not item number 1. This is item number 1. NBA playoffs roll on last night. 109-102. The Boston Celtics get a win over the Cleveland Cavaliers. They now lead that series 3-1. Again, I thought this was always going to be a 4-1 series, and looks like it might be. That being said, the Cavs were shorthanded last night. They did not have Spida. They did not have Jared Allen, their leading points guy, their leading rebounds guy, and the C's still almost found a way to choke this game away. I told you coming in, the C's have a tendency to get lazy in the playoffs. That's what's cost them playoff runs, despite being the Eastern Conference favorite the last couple of years. And we saw it kick in yesterday. To me, they got a little bit lazy in that game yesterday. 109-102, your final in the other conference matchup over in the West, game 4 of the Western Conference semifinals. So the Oklahoma City Thunder get over on the Dallas Mavericks 196. Your final in that one, and that series has now been drawn even to 2 games apiece. PJ Washington led all scorers for the Mavs with 21. Luka, not a great night. Not a great night despite the fact that he had a triple-double. I hate saying that. I hate saying Luka had an off night on a night he went triple-double. But he did. 18 points on 6 of 20 from the floor, just 2 of 9 from the arc. He had 11 boards. He had 10 assists. He had a triple-double, and yet it was still an off night for Luka, and unfortunately, Kyrie Irving was not there to bail him out this time. 4 of 11, 0 of 2 from deep, went to the stripe just twice in the game, ended up with 9 points in this one. The big stats. The Dallas Mavericks went 12 of 23 from the stripe. That is a 52% clip. 52% from the stripe. If they go 80% from the stripe, they win the ball game. Despite an off night triple-double for Luka, they win the game if they just make kids out there, youngsters. I know you're listening right now, all right? It's in that getting to school time. Maybe you're hanging out with the folks as they get ready for work, whatever the case might be. Youngins, listen to Uncle Rob. Practice your free throws. This is why Kobe shot 1,000 free throws a day or whatever the story is that we all lie to you and tell you he definitely did. We don't know, but I'm pretty sure he did. Practice your free throws. Make sure your free throws are automatic because you're going to get in a game like this. Your team's going to go 50% from the stripe, and it's going to cost you a game. The Dallas Mavericks should be up 3-1. They should be shocking all of us right now by going up 3-1, but they missed their free throws last night, and they are not. We got a couple more games coming up this evening in both the East and the West. We have got kicking off at 8 p.m. tonight, the Indiana Pacers on the road at the New York Knickerbockers. That series is square. Minnesota is at Denver tonight. Back in the Mile High City with a 10:30 p.m. tip. Hooray, Eastern time. I'll watch that game tomorrow morning. That series also tied at 2 apiece. Let's go to item number 2. Ordinarily, I am going to pair the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs and the NBA's playoffs together in an item from last night. But not only am I going to go to one game from the Stanley Cup playoffs, I'm going to make one game from the Stanley Cup playoffs its own item on the water cooler cheat sheet. The Carolina Hurricanes are alive. They're alive. They went to New York last night. They stepped into the Rangers barn. They were a dog in this game. A 4-1 victory last night. Pretty incredible. Frederick Anderson back between the pipes. Had a game off in the last one for fatigue because he had played like 1,000 straight games going into that. So they gave Freddie the night off and the Canes won, kept them alive. So Freddie gets back between the pipes, 21 shots against. He saved 20 of them. 1 goal trickled in from Jacob Trouba in the second period. It was a shorthanded goal. That's not good. I went, Carolina's toast, right? Because what have I been saying? Special teams has been getting you killed. The power play has sucked for the Canes, and the penalty kill has sucked for the Canes. I think the Rangers have 3 shorthanded goals in this series so far. And the Canes, going into last night, were like 0 for 17 on the power play. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. But they started getting it back in the last couple of games, and now they are back alive. They have won 2 in a row. This series is now 3-2 in favor of the Rangers because in the third period, 3.5 in, Jordan Staal got back on it, tied it up at 1. Evgeny Kuznetsov got 1. That made it 2-1. Jordan Martinook got 1. That made it 3-1. And then Martin scored. Nate just got an empty netter with, I think, 3.5 minutes left to play in the third period to give a 4-1 lead to the Canes. The Canes are alive, baby. And all of a sudden, Game 6 back in the barn in Raleigh, where the Canes will be favorites. Question is, can they live up to the pressure? Can they force a Game 7? Can they get back to MSG to run it one more time against the Rangers on their home ice? Gotta hope so, because there is, and I mean this, I've told you I love college baseball. It's my it's my favorite postseason in sports. I am telling you, I don't care if that game was to drop puck at 2 a.m. I'm watching it because there is nothing more electric than a Game 7 in the Stanley Cup Finals. It is the best thing in sports. So I really hope the Canes can get a Game 6 winner. They are still alive after a 4-1 victory. They do have to win Game 6 in Raleigh. They won the last game in Raleigh. They won last night on away ice. First time. Now they've got to go get it done one more time at home. We'll keep you up to date on that. And let us get finally to item number 3. The NFL releases their schedule tomorrow. We know that. It is like... it's a holiday for scheduling nerds. Is there like a tenacious scheduler in your life? Is Miss Lisa like a tenacious scheduler?
No, that would be me.
Is that you?
Yeah.
I figured.
You've seen how ordered I am with things. Yeah. it would
Is
be
Miss
me.
Lisa the opposite of you? Because that's the what do you call it? Dynamic of the relationship of me and the lady friend.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Me and the lady friend. She's got everything scheduled minute to minute to minute to minute to minute throughout her day, right? We share a Google Calendar so we can keep track with each other. And if you ever open it up, for every one thing I put on the Google Calendar, she's got like 46.
Is that a normal thing in this day and age?
I think it's been
to have
normalized.
A shared Google calendar?
We have our own individual calendars, right? So like when I've got something that's work related, right? Like an interview on the show, right? I've got an alarm to let me know when John Blau's coming on or Hayden S. Mario's coming on or Rashad or whatever. So I can make sure I get those guys on the stream or on the phone in time. I have my own calendar for that, but she and I share a calendar for the mutual stuff, right? So like I put on it that I'm going to be at Monday Night Raw. So don't expect to see me Monday night. I'll see you Tuesday. I put on a date night tonight. I'm going to make it up to her tonight, host her a little date night. We got the shared calendar, but on our shared calendar for every one event I throw up there, she's got 97 of them. One of the things that absolutely does get put on the schedule is every Saints game. And every NFL game that is a must-watch game. I cannot miss this game. It's Ravens-Chiefs, which coincidentally, we found out yesterday, is week 1 kickoff. That is a Thursday night game. The first game of the season that we get is going to be Lamar v. Patrick. Baltimore v. KC going to be taking place in week number 1 at Arrowhead Stadium. Talk about setting the tone for the NFL season. An AFC title game rematch between two of the NFL MVP odds-on favorites when they go head-to-head on a Thursday night. That is going on the joint calendar. Don't schedule nothing that Thursday night. I'm busy.
It's like the equivalent of 2 ranked teams playing in college football in the first.
I would say the equivalent of like 2 top 5 teams playing
Yeah.
in the opening week of the college football season. I cannot wait. That is a hell of a way to start. The other big game that we learned about, Sao Paulo, Brasilia. We knew the Eagles were playing. We just didn't know who their opponent was going to be. Now we do. It is the Green Bay Packers. They were an odds-on favorite to be named that team, and that is exactly who we get. Green Bay taking on Philly down in Sao Paulo, Brasilia for week 1. And the one that you all care about the most. The one that you have been hinged on, the one you've been waiting for. Clear your schedule. Call the fam. Tell them you're busy. Lock it in right now. Let the wife know or the husband know. All right. Let the boyfriend, the girlfriend, the fiance, let the mom, the dad, the cousins, the uncles, the brothers, the sisters, the aunts. Let them all know. Don't call me. Week 1. When the Dallas Cowboys and the Cleveland Browns lock it up, because it is the debut of the GOAT. Tom Brady making his first appearance as an NFL color commentator when Dallas and Cleveland square off in week number 1. Write it down, ladies and gentlemen. The GOAT makes his debut. Dallas, Cleveland, week 1. So those are the games we know we are getting in week 1. We're getting Green Bay and Philly down in Sao Paulo. We are getting Lamar and Patrick, KC and Baltimore week 1 at Arrowhead on a Thursday night. And then we are getting Brady in the box for Dallas at Cleveland in week 1. The rest of the week 1 games and the rest of the NFL schedule will be released tomorrow. Obviously, it will come out after we are off the air. So on Thursday morning, now that we have the schedule, the dates, and the order, Thursday morning, Lonzo and I will run up and down the schedule, give you our NFL win totals over under bets that we like. And of course, we will run down the Carolina schedule on Thursday alongside Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast. We got to run to a break. When we come back here in just a moment from right now, we have got a lot more basketball stuff, a lot of NBA news that is breaking right now. We're going to get into. Urban Meyer says that he believes NIL is cheating, which it's not, because it's not. I don't get it. So we'll talk about that. And Lonzo says I get miserable when I bring up Urban Meyer. I don't get miserable. I get angry because he's a bad guy.
Your energy, your flow, everything just ran into a wall right there.
Because it's Urban. He ruins everything, right? He just ruins it.
Except for championships that he won. He didn't ruin those.
Ruins everything. Ruins everything. Damian Priest is Khal Drogo's brother. Holy crap. He could absolutely step into a Game of Thrones remake. Please remake Game of Thrones. Please do it again, but better. Please. Star Damian Priest. I got his back. The Rob Brown Show continues. It's the Fan Upstate.
New life.
All right, guys. Quick live reading. We're coming back. Y'all stay right there for me. All right, dudes and dudettes, thanks for hanging in there. We're back.
Can't wait to hear what's next on Wire to Wire with Cole and Diesel.
Tell me what's coming up. Did the Atlanta Braves get back on track last night as they hosted the Chicago
Oh, no.
Cubs? I'll scour the internet for camp updates on Gamecocks who were drafted and what to expect.
Oh no, my hiccups are an event.
An event.
Yes.
That was a violent one. Are they like violent like
Yeah.
that? Like
Yeah.
they stay that way?
That's quiet.
Really? That was
I am
startling.
my body is racked when it happens. It's not.
We have a situation developing here at the Radio Ranch that after four and almost a half years of working and sharing an office with the great one, I did not know was a thing for him. Lonzo is working on the set of the hiccups right now. And I think a lot of us would be like, all right, so what? Lonzo just had a hiccup that was, I cannot describe it any other way other than startling. Like I had the head cans off. I was sitting here paying attention to something I was typing on the computer, getting ready for the next segment. And Lonzo went with a hiccup that I think moved the desk. And he goes, uh-oh, like very loudly said, uh-oh, and then informed me that when he gets a case of the hiccups, I believe you said your body becomes riddled or racked.
Racked. That's the word. And people will gather around just to experience my pain. Yes.
Dude, that sounded like it was painful.
I think I'm good though, because another one hasn't happened. But it's you know how the nerds laughed in Revenge of the Nerds?
Yes.
That's my hiccups.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's my family, my wife and daughter especially laugh so hard they cry. Actual tears come out of their eyes when it happens.
Well, that's rude.
Yeah, it's kind of messed up.
It kind of is messed up. This dude across from me, the great one Lonzo, just hiccuped in a way that startled me. And I don't get startled. Well, I do. I get scared all the time.
It's the equivalent in volume almost to your and Chris's sneezes. When it gets going, it's about that many dBs, and I can't control anything. It's,
I genuinely looked up like, what the hell was that? What was that? Now, again, if you watch the stream, Facebook.com/TheFanUpstate, Twitter.com/TheFanUpstate, The Rob Brown Show and The Fan Upstate on YouTube, or The Rob Brown Show on Twitch. If you watch the show for even a handful of minutes a day, I jump scare super easy. I shouldn't. I go 6'3", now 236. Thank you very much. I go 6'3", 236. All right. I'm a lover, not a fighter, but I'd like to think that most of the time I cast a rather intimidating shadow. I cast a rather intimidating shadow. I'm a big boy, right? And so because of that, I shouldn't jump scare easy. Anybody opens a door behind me, Captain America Chris Evans down the hall now like nudges open the door and whispers something into it to try to prep me, it still makes me jump. The hiccup that Lonzo just jumped was like that scene in a horror movie where the bad guy jumps out through the mirror, you know, and the volume goes from a decibel to 1,000. And that's how they cheat to scare you. They rack the volume real fast. That's Lonzo's hiccup. Now, I'm very glad that we have now made it, 4 minutes and you haven't had another one? Because if that was going to be you the rest of the day, I would genuinely feel bad for you because it looked like it hurt.
No, I would have to leave the room probably.
Yeah, I would probably have to move to that chair and finish the show.
This is not a joke. It would be so loud you wouldn't be able to. First of all, you wouldn't be able to. You'd be laughing so hard. But the other thing is, you couldn't do a show if it was. And anyone who opens up a mic, that's one of their biggest fears, especially in radio, is hiccups. But mine are not. It's an experience.
Yeah,
I mean, you could probably count a handful of times you've actually heard me laugh out loud. And this is, I'm fairly quiet to a degree. I mean, I will ramble, but that stuff is bad. It's really bad. It's hurting now, and it is. So
I will tell you that. Again, if you've listened to the show for more than a handful of days, I have burped on the air, like loudly and openly. All right. Not like I was able to get to the tactical cough button and deploy it and get out of the way. Like just straight mid-word ripped one into the mic.
Come on. It's like when your grandpa passes gas and everyone heard it, but they pretend like it didn't happen.
Yeah. I just rolled through it.
Yeah. I mean,
just rolled through it. You pretend it didn't happen. I get like 9 or 10 smart ass texts about it. And then it just goes away. I would take 1,000 belches on the air before my body expels whatever demon Lonzo just got rid of with that hiccup. That was unbelievable. I have never heard like that in my life, dude. I felt like it was a hiccup hard enough. I felt bad for him. It wasn't like sucks to be. No, it was like, oh, dude, I hope that is the last hiccup you ever hiccup.
I'm also concerned because, the science has tried to figure out hiccups. And if it is mental, you're trying to make it happen again.
I swear to you, I'm not.
I'm
swear to you, I'm not.
I'm also afraid to drink anything else.
If you had like the fun little make fun of you hiccups, 1,000%, I'd be rooting for it to happen again.
Like
not that.
Like those cute little girly hiccups.
Yeah.
I hiccup like a man.
No. You hiccup like a Brahma bull.
There we go.
That was ridiculous.
All right.
That hurt me.
Yeah, I just killed some ozone. My bad.
Oh, man. Hiccups occur when the diaphragm spasm, causing the vocal cords to close suddenly and produce a hic sound. The diaphragm is the muscle that separates the chest from the stomach and is important for breathing. Hiccups can happen when something irritates the diaphragm, such as eating too quickly, eating too much, eating hot or spicy foods, drinking alcohol, drinking carbonated drinks, indigestion, stress, bad odors, pregnancy, sudden changes, or getting excited suddenly, basically working in radio.
Yeah. Well, they used to be worse. When I got really sick, one time my esophagus was closed on the end, so they had to go in and widen it. And since they have, the hiccups haven't been as bad.
Texter said, doesn't Bo Jackson have chronic hiccup syndrome? Yes, that is a real thing.
All right, he's starting to scare me now.
Yeah.
I mean, literally starting to worry me a little bit.
A cause of long-term hiccups is damage to or irritation of the vagus nerves or phrenic nerves. These nerves supply the diaphragm muscle. So yeah, and is it Bo Jackson? There is an athlete. I think it might be Bo Jackson that has this. And yes, it is Bo Jackson. He has had the hiccups relentlessly, without fail, since July of 2022.
Dude. No, that's not. That is scary. Imagine what you just heard from me. If I had to, I probably would die.
Yeah. Like, we're all having the same thought right now, right? Like, we're all having the same thought. We don't want to admit it. We don't want to talk about it, but we're all having the same thought of like what course of action might be necessary if you had 2.5 years of unrelenting hiccups. That's got to be excruciating. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There's 5 minutes on the hiccups. God, we're good at this, right? That was 5 entertaining minutes on the hiccups, by the way, not just like killing time.
Yeah, Wesley on the stream says those hiccups deserve a spot on the calendar. No, they don't.
Yeah, I hope I never hear him do that again. This is not, somebody was like, great, right? Reverse psychology. Or no. I don't think you understand. Lonzo hiccuped and I jumped in my seat. I was like, what the hell was that? I hope he never has the hiccups again. Genuinely. That was awful. All right, let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute. I have heard there has been a lot of discussion over the past couple of days about rookie quarterbacks. There is one rookie quarterback specifically that I want to ask you, what would you define as a successful season? And then we'll apply that conversation to some others. It's all coming up on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Bye, Specs.
All right, guys, quick live read, and then we're coming right back. Stay right there. Phone me.
smells a little bit. Supposedly you can do it, but not very often. Someone just posted what Gunther did to Jay after the show. Like he was going to eat.
We all bought in. He had Samantha come out and do a yeet. He had the ref do a yeet. The ref got the loudest pop of the night when he yeeted. It was great. And then Gunther set up for it, and everybody was ready. And Gunther stabbed us all in the back. The Rob Brown Show continues. It's the Fan Upstate. Rob and Lonzo with you. Happy Tuesday, upstate South Carolina. Let's check in on some rookie quarterbacks as tomorrow they will learn the order of opponents. And there is one rookie quarterback that I want to ask the question about. I will ask it of you, and then we will discuss it at length. This rookie quarterback is a guy that I'm very excited about. This rookie quarterback, I think, is about to be placed into a system that is going to work very well for him. This rookie quarterback, I think, is going to have a set of skill receivers around him that should give him the opportunity for success. This rookie quarterback is a guy that I think has a head coach that understands how to get the most out of him. This rookie quarterback is Bryce Young. It is Bryce Young's rookie year, okay? I have said and said and said, to the chagrin of the great one many times over. Much like I did not count Trevor Lawrence's rookie year against him because of the absolute chaos and turmoil that he was thrust into, I do not count last year against Bryce Young. My guy was asked to play under a dinosaur of a head coach who didn't get it. My guy was surrounded by an incredible lack of talent at the wide receiver position. Sorry, Shanice Lavault, I can't even remember his damn name.
Chenault.
Yes.
So all this build up, I thought you were going to talk about Jaden Daniels or somebody else.
I'm coming to all of them too.
But you're gonna.
But the rookie quarterback I'm most excited about is BY.
This false narrative that this is the first year that Bryce Young plays NFL football.
Correct. That's exactly what
If he plays well, it will be the first time that he's played NFL football because he was horrible last year.
Again,
you can bring out the stats, but the eyeball test, he did not pass that for a lot of people.
As I have mentioned multiple times, my favorite analogy to go to here. I could take Jeff Gordon in his prime, but if I put him in a 98 Corolla, he's not winning the Daytona 500 because he doesn't have the equipment. You can be the greatest whatever in the world, but if I provide you with D- class equipment with which to ply your trade, you're going to get beat, and you're going to get beat all the time.
I beg to differ. You've won 2 trophies despite me being here.
Lonzo, I have won 3 trophies because of you. Because of you. I have, this is going to be a weird way to phrase it, but screw it. I'm already committed. I have great equipment. My equipment is incredible. There are people in this industry who envy at the equipment that I work with. I have great equipment, and therefore I thrive. Now, you can have great equipment and a lack of talent and fail, but you can also have great talent and a lack of equipment and fail. I know a lot of guys that have bad equipment and they fail.
Yeah, there's certain pills that can help them with that, though.
Correct.
So,
Correct. And the little blue pill for Bryce Young's career is Dave Canales. This is the weirdest metaphor we've ever gone down with. The little blue pill to BY's career is Dave Canales. And it's not just...
Now I don't know if I should play this.
Whole new meaning to Two Sweat. Dave Canales is going to be the injection to BY's career that I think he needs. Last year, this quarterback walked into a room where he had Laviska Shenault as his number 1 wide receiver, where he had DJ Chark as his big play wide receiver, where he had Terrace Marshall Jr., who, for the record, I am not giving up on. But TMJ is what I would refer to in wrestling terms as a gimmick receiver. He's not a guy that I'm throwing out there in main event scenarios. He's a guy I'm throwing out there in special situations when he can do something special. The red zone. And that was your consistent number 3. The best he was working with was Adam Thielen, a 33-year-old, sorry, Rashad Beard, slot wide receiver. That as his number 1, as his X. That's what he was working with. Now he comes in and he's got Deontay at wide receiver X. I love that. He's got Xavier Legette. I think Legette can hit the ground running. Is he going to take some development? Yes, because he played the X at South Carolina for a year. He spent, 3 years before that? Effectively as a gimmick wide receiver.
Oh, man, I really overexcited.
Got to play it every time. I am really overexcited. I do think that there's a chance that season 1 for Xavier Legette.
That'll be great, man.
Could be great, man. You've given him some weapons this year. You're giving him John Brooks, who is not just a violent runner, but can catch the ball out of the backfield, which is something Miles Sanders was supposed to be able to do last year. But I think there was some problems. And yes, I do think a lot of the off passes from BY were because he was playing behind 5 subway turnstiles of an offensive line. You have fixed that. You went and got 2 Pro Bowl caliber offensive guards to play on either side of him. That is a huge fix. At this point, the only question mark on the OL is the center, Austin Corbett, and that's got as much to do with injury concerns as anything else. Can he play a full 17 games healthy? If he can, BY's rookie year this year is going to be an opportunity. I'm not guaranteeing success for this man. I'm saying if he doesn't succeed this year, if he stinks this year, I will not be able to defend him next year. I will absolutely sit here and defend him at this point because that was a trash can of a franchise last year. And the problems they had, to me, were by and large generated by repeated and ridiculous head coach turnover, a general manager who was a yes man to the owner, and an owner who wouldn't get the hell out of the way. What do we have now? We've got a head coach who has succeeded, granted as an offensive coordinator, with multiple quarterbacks, earning 2 of them fat, ridiculous contracts. Well, actually, really, technically all 3, because Geno got his, Russ got his with Denver when he got the trade, and now Baker's a $100 million man. So he's got a track record of success with quarterbacks that other people have given up on. That's great. You've got a head coach who does that. You have now got a GM who's not a yes man to the owner. Not just not a yes man to the owner, but a guy that, Dan Morgan, has nose to grindstone. This is why last week I made such a big deal out of Carolina being the first team to sign their entire rookie class. They got everybody signed before anybody else. That to me says the second that the draft class was complete, Dan Morgan got his ass in the office and got these contracts done and got them done in a way that the players went, thank you. Thank you for taking care of me. I'll go ahead and get signed up. That's not a yes man. That's a guy who's getting the job done. And as I have pointed out a couple of times, with the exception of the incident in the bar, since the day that Dave Canellis and Dan Morgan got introduced to the public, how many times have you heard David Tepper's name? 1 time. It was the bar incident. And this is speculation. I might be out there on my own on this one. I don't think that was Dave Tepper going in there to be ridiculous. I think Dave Tepper thought, this is an opportunity for me to engage with the public. This is an opportunity for me to have a little fun with the fans, let them have a little fun for me, try to turn around my image. Because I promise you, if he's got a PR guy worth his salt right now, or a PR girl worth her salt right now, they're looking Tep in the face and going, hey man, your image in Charlotte sucks. It sucks. It's cheeks, as the kids would say right now, okay? We need to get that turned around. There's two ways to do it. Number one, make your football team good. And number two, interact with the crowd in a way that's not you causing a problem. And I think Dave Tepper saw the sign, thought I can go in there, have a little fun. The problem is Dave Tepper is an out-of-touch billionaire, does not understand what fun is to us. All the things to me that held back this team last year, that held back BY from even having a chance at success, they've been remedied. The three top things: head coach, fixed; GM, fixed; owner, can't say fixed. Can say you've heard his name one time since the draft. And by the way, since that incident, how many times have you heard Dave Tepper's name? Because he could have made it worse. He could have easily, he's got a history of making it worse. He hasn't been out there talking about how he brought live music to Charlotte, which is crap. We all made fun of him. He hasn't been out there hasn't been out there on the field at rookie minicamp coaching. He's just been out of the way. The three problems you had last year, I think, have been, at least on their surface, remedied and rectified. So Bryce Young's rookie year, I think, is going to be fine. My question is, how do we define success for BY? What's he got to do for us to finish his rookie year with us going, good year from Bryce Young?
All right. I think it's more what do you consider a good year? Because he's got to do a whole lot to convince a lot of people that he's the guy. And from the things that you're saying, what's a good season for Bryce Young? What's a season where you think that he's actually turned things around and you can say, see, this is what I was talking about? What kind of season does he have to have?
Do you want numbers or do you want what I'd like to see him be better at? Because I got both.
Yes.
I got both. I am going to go, as far as numbers, I would like to see Bryce Young average a touchdown a game through the air. I'd like to see 17 touchdown passes on the year. I'd like to see him average a touchdown a game. Number two, I'd like to see him I'm going to say 3,200 yards. Honestly, probably closer to 35, but I'd like to see 3,200 yards. I'd like to see him average north of 200 yards passing a game. I think that he's got the receivers. I think he's got the offensive line. And if John Brooks is ready to go early and can put some pressure on Miles Sanders, I think he's got the running backs out of the backfield to supplement that. I'd like to see a passing tutty a game. I'd like to see an average of 200 plus yards per game. Those are the numbers. As far as the individual aspects of a quarterback, I'd like him to get better at. I would like to see him, number one, make better decisions. Because, yes, while I do think, much like a lot of dudes in this business, he had bad equipment, right? I also think he did make a lot of bad decisions last year. I think he was rushed. I think he was hurried. I think you hear about the quarterback clock in the head. Quarterback's got to have that clock that starts ticking the second he touches the ball. I think Bryce's was like on speed. It was fast, right? What is a 3.5 second clock for most quarterbacks was like 2 seconds for him. So it wasn't, it was bad decisions, but I think he had to go because he was constantly being harassed.
All right. I'm not going to hit breaking news on this, but it did just break. The week 2 matchup in the NFL for the Kansas City Chiefs are the Cincinnati Bengals.
Love to.
And
let's get Joey B out there while he's healthy.
That one also in Arrowhead.
So they kind of put the screws to you by giving you 2 AFC contenders out of the gate, but they give them both to you at home.
Yeah,
that's a good benefit. That's what you get for winning the Lombardi. I like that. Joey B 2
years in a row.
You catch Lamar in week 1, you catch Joey B in week 2, but you get them both at the house. I like that.
Yeah, but Burrow back from injury for his first game. Who knows how much preseason he's going to play? But still, this kind of defeats the purpose of them making a big deal about the schedule release, I think, because you're releasing big-time games. That's 2 big-time games, not just for Kansas City, but for Baltimore and for Cincinnati.
Sure. But, there's 16 – well, there's 15 more for you. We got 2 for you.
Yeah, but this
16 more for the other ones.
The 2-time world champion that we're talking about.
Sure it is.
Drop some knowledge about some other teams.
This is showing Thor in the new Avengers trailer. You gotta let the people know what they're in for, and that's what you're doing here.
But all right, from a salesman point of view, aren't you like? These are 2 big time games right away. Wouldn't you save that for your presentation?
Nah, because there's plenty more. There's plenty. Much to the shock of many a Kansas City fan. Yeah, you guys are the champs. You're not the only team in the league.
Shane on the stream says back-to-back world champs. Say it with your chest, Lonzo. No, because if I do, I might hiccup again.
All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, I would like your answer to that question. What would you consider a successful rookie year for Bryce Young in 2024? What's a successful? You can give me numbers. You can give me stats. You can give me win-loss. You can give me development. You'd like to see this on the field or this off the field. What would you consider a successful rookie campaign for Bryce Young as his 2024 rookie campaign is going to be? We'll address that further when we come back here in just a minute. I'll tell you what is going to be successful because it's successful every time. Lonzo's about to successfully blow your socks off with this sports flash. Why is that the metaphor? Blow your socks off?
I don't know. Disclaimer for those of you who may be tuning in for the first time. Rob knows that Bryce Young played last year. The Atlanta Braves took the first of 3 games set against the Chicago Cubs with a 2-0 victory last night. Every Braves hitter, with the exception of Orlando Arcia, recorded a hit, while Ronald Acuna Jr. and Zach Short recorded the 2-game winning RBIs. The Carolina Hurricanes kept their season alive with a 4-1 win on the road over the Rangers. The Canes trailed 1-0 entering the final frame before recording 4 unanswered goals. The series returns to Raleigh for Game 6 on Thursday. Hey, make sure you tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for our brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, and of course, a whole lot of fun. And you know what? It's all Wire to Wire.
One of my buddies down in Miami just won a sweepstakes from Ben & Jerry's, where he gets a year of Ben & Jerry's ice cream cones. He gets a free cone every day that he wants one for a year.
Ain't nothing wrong with that,
No.
I guess.
I'm not going to call anybody out, but there is a radio show host in another city, not anybody connected to here, that is quite literally stealing not just my jokes and commentary, but jokes and commentary from multiple hosts. We have been talking about it in a group chat, and we're trying to decide if and when we want to call this cat out. He's literally reposting a joke that I made 2 days ago.
Remember when someone stole our entire bit and put it on radio, including the music? I don't want to call them out. So that's not, I mean, you know, it's.
There's been a group chat of 4 of us that noticed because he's, like I said, he posted a joke I made 4 or 5 days ago, word for word yesterday. Word for word, the way that I worded it, down to the picture that I used to make the joke. And I just saw it and I'm like, wait a minute. So I sent it to the rest of the guys in my group chat. And they're like, yeah, like clear as day now. Because we've all got examples of him word for word stealing jokes from us. And we're like, do we call this cat out? Because it's not like he's like a big time host somewhere. He's like in a small market, right? But it's like, do we ruin this cat or we do just not care because he's not really competition to anybody? And I can't decide.
Or do you take it as flattery?
I mean, I do. Imitation is the most sincere form of flattery, I believe, is the phrase.
That's, I think people who've never been imitated said that.
Right.
But, yeah.
But there's a difference between imitation and outright thievery of someone's content, right?
True.
And again, on one hand, I don't care. I made a joke on Twitter. Like, who cares if he stole it? But when I see him posting it across all these other platforms and like claiming credit for the content, it's like,
QC in the first break.
Nathan, it was amazing. I had a ball. It was one of the better shows. Well, it was a top 5 show I've seen since I've been here. Here we go. Hour number 3 of the Rob Brown Show underway. It is the fan of state. Woo! Feeling good again, man. Got the zest for life.
How many woo chants were going on last night?
Shockingly, none.
Maybe it's because of the video.
I don't know.
You think?
I don't know. Because every show, even not that company shows that I've been to in this area, you get a bunch of Ric Flair woos. Not last night. I will say this. As far as crowds go.
Have they been overtaken by the Eat?
Oh, that was the most electric moment of the night.
Okay.
I took a rookie wrestling fan with us last night, and halfway through Jay coming out and the crowd hitting the Eat, halfway through that, he looked over and he's like, dude, this is cool. I'm like, yeah, no, I know. I've been trying to tell people for a minute.
Professional wrestling is cool.
Thanks, Dwayne. Because it is. It was a blast. Last night's Monday Night Raw at the Bon Scorbunus Arena. As far as crowds go, great one. Far from the best one we have seen in this area. It was good. It was full. It was capacity. But it took a little while to get them going. I will also say that they did, the last couple of shows we've gone to, they, like every commercial break, they would do stuff on the screen, right? They do like a DX cam where they had the camera in the crowd telling people to get up and, you know, do the thing. Do the thing. They would have, Hulk cam where they'd be like, get up and do the Hulk up, flex, whatever. They didn't really do a lot of that last night. They had a couple they did the DX cam at one point, but that was really it. They ran a lot of, they ran like 4 Stone Cold podcast commercials. They ran a bunch of King of the Ring, Queen of the Ring commercials, but it wasn't really as much crowd participation stuff as they've done in the past. So I think that kind of had a little bit to do with it, but it was a good crowd. It wasn't a great crowd compared to some of the crowds that we have seen around the upstate in shows gone by. But it was good. And then once some of the highlights started taking place, once Jay was out there, Gunther was out there. Friend of the show, Gunther, by the way. Let's get it right. Friend of the show, Gunther came out. When Jay came out, they started getting better towards the end of the show. So I'd say B- crowd, A- show. Pretty good overall.
You know what? One of the coolest things, and hopefully someone gets to experience something like this in their life, is we can watch a show now and go, I interviewed them, interviewed them. Will we get to a point where there's no one left? How cool would that be?
At this point, the shock would be if they ran a show that didn't have on it somebody that we've had on this show. And it turns out, like we said, the Rob Brown Show rub is real. The rub is real with this show. You come on this show, good things happen for you. We've talked about that. Gunther comes on the show, goes on to become the most dynastic intercontinental champion of all time. R-Truth comes on this show. A couple of weeks later, he's the Raw Tag Team Champions. Damian Priest comes on the show yesterday. He ends up signing a multi-million-dollar contract with a company that gives him full creative control over the character. you got to understand in the world of wrestling, that's a huge deal.
There's one exception. There's one exception that didn't get the bump, but it's her own fault.
Lacey.
That would be Lacey.
Lacey. That's what you get for coming on the show and
going,
being a heel to us.
And going straight heel
Yeah.
and not letting us talk and all that kind of stuff. You can't get the rub if you can't really converse.
Yep. You got to be a friend of the show. Lacey Evans was not a friend of the show. She's an acquaintance of the show at best.
She hung up.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
Yeah. She straight up said, I have better things to do, and hung up.
So she got the opposite.
Yeah. So she got the whatever the opposite is of the Rob Brown Show rub. Everybody else has gotten the rub. AEW guys and WWE guys alike.
She got a clothesline.
Yeah.
That's what she got.
Got the rub. All right. So I asked the question in the last segment. And for those of you that have texted the show, for those of you that have, I know that this is Bryce's sophomore season.
Don't use that tone.
Okay.
Don't use that tone like you're talking down to everybody.
If you think that I'm not aware that Bryce Young did not just get drafted, yes, I know you think I'm an idiot, but I do watch football because I know ball. Okay. I know it's his sophomore year. The argument that I'm making is I'm not holding his rookie year against him. The exact same thing I did for Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. To me, the screws are placed to TL16 this season. He's got to perform this season. He has now had a season with a consistent wide receiver core, a consistent head coach, a consistent offensive coordinator. He has now had a year under his belt because I don't hold his rookie year against him. This year is the year that TL16's got to be the guy. Now, he was pretty good last year. Pretty good. But again, I pointed this out, I think last week. He was pretty good. And yet his numbers were consistent with Gardner Minshew. In terms of games played, in terms of touchdowns and interceptions thrown, in terms of passer rating, his numbers are on par with Gardner Minshew. That being said, Gardner Minshew is a starting quarterback this year. He's in Vegas. He's going to be QB1 when this season rolls around. So it's not awful. He's earned a starting NFL job with his performance. But I don't think you were taking the guy number 1 overall out of Clemson to come down and put up Gardner Minshew numbers. You were taking him to come in and put up top 5 QB numbers, not Gardner Minshew numbers. This is the year that I want to see Trevor Lawrence take that next step. I did not hold the Urban Meyer year against him because Urban Meyer's year was hot garbage.
You sick freak.
It was hot garbage. So I don't hold it against him. The same with Bryce Young. Last year's Carolina team was one of the, and I mean this, one of the worst individual franchise years I've ever seen. One of the worst individual franchise years I've ever seen. And he was a rookie in the process of that. It'd be a different story if he was like year 7.
When they didn't win a game? Were you alive?
And Detroit.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, those are pretty bad.
I don't disagree, which is why I said one of the worst individual franchise years I've ever seen and not the worst individual franchise year I've ever seen. But it was in the competition. It was in the conversation for sure. You have got an owner who can't stop tripping over his own you-know-what. You had a head coach that was a dinosaur and could not communicate with anybody. You were coming off a year where you had a head coach who wanted to be a cult leader more than he wanted to be an HC. And you had an interim coach in the middle that created a problem because you ended up with half a locker room that wanted him to stay on as the permanent head coach and half the locker room that didn't. So you divided your team even further unintentionally going into last year. So when you went into last year with a new head coach, you had half the locker room that wanted the interim coach from the year before. And I'm relatively convinced after looking back at it now, and I think the signs were all there, that you had a locker room last year that could not have cared less about the head coach. They weren't going to war for Frank Reich. They weren't going to battle with that guy. He just happened to be the guy that they were contracted to play for last year. I think this year's different. I do. Which is why, again, I don't hold last year's team, which was a dumpster fire inside of a slightly larger dumpster fire against BY. This is the year that I look for the breakout. This is the year that I expect him to, do something. So my question here is for you, Rob Brown Show Armada. What is success for Bryce Young this year? What is success for the guy? Are you marking it in terms of wins? If he comes out and they win, great, but let's say 6 games this year. Do we put that in the Bryce Young win category column?
It's not a we thing, it's a you thing. Because as a Panther fan, no, it's not good enough. I don't know what my expectations are for the Panthers this year. Preseason is going to help a little bit. I'm still concerned about the offensive line. They have made some really good moves. I really do think they have. And I love Xavier Legette. But can Bryce Young get him the ball?
I do not think that last year was in any way, shape, or form any sort of revelation of what 9 is capable of. I really don't.
If Canellis can do what he's done other places, if he can settle Bryce Young's feet down, if he can help him to see the field better, make better decisions, then yeah, they can win 6 or 7 games. And in this case, this season, since I have no expectations, and I don't think a lot of Panthers fans have expectations, you want to see the team improve, markedly improve over what we saw last year in every position, but especially the quarterback, because that's primary. If the quarterback improves a great deal, then the team will improve a great deal.
I agree. And that is why I'm asking the Armada, what does improve mean to you? What is it going to take? I understand that we want to see the team improve. Obviously. None of us want to go through. Here's a hot take. None of us want to go through what we did last year. Nobody. I'm not even a Panther fan per se. I'm a supporter because, as I've told you guys a million times and a million times again, when the Panthers are good, I make money. And when they suck, I don't. So I want them to be good in the Ric Flair style so I get paid.
Hey, the Panthers are my NFC team. I want them to do well. I also want to see Rashad happy. Because when Rashad's happy, he smiles better, and everyone needs more. Everyone needs that.
That's true. Rashad's more fun when he's not cursing out the team. There's no doubt about that. I want him to be good so I get paid more. I've told you guys in the past, I don't think you can be more unbiased. I will criticize this team as fast as any other, not because I want them to fail. Quite the opposite. I want them to be good. When they're good, we get to go do stuff. And I like to do more stuff because I get paid to do the stuff. So, yes, it is not exactly a hot take to say we want to see the team improve. Of course we do. I do think, however, because, again, here's another hot take. To win in the NFL, you got to have a winning quarterback. You just do. That's the way the league is designed at this point. You have to have a successful quarterback if you want to win in the NFL. So I think it is fair to say, oh, what do you expect from John Brooks? I don't know. What do you expect from Xavier Legette? I don't know. What do you expect from the new fit offensive line with 2 brand new guards anchoring both sides? I don't know. I can tell you what I'd like to see. I can tell you what I'd hope to see. But I don't know that I can say, well, I expect the offensive line to give up less than X sacks. Or I expect Xavier Legette to have 2,000 yards. I don't know. I'll be better fitted to make those predictions when, as Lonzo pointed out, we see camp unfold. When I take the roadie up to Charlotte and go watch them practice and watch them start running the Canales offense, I'll have a better idea of what I can say I expect out of these guys. The one guy that I think I can say I have some expectations for today is Bryce Young. I'm asking for you the same thing. But Lonzo said, what do you want to see? In my opinion, Bryce Young's true rookie year. And I can give you some numbers and I can give you some attributes. As far as numbers, I'd like to see an average of upwards of 200 yards passing per game. An average. There's going to be some games where he's below that number. I also would like to see some games where he threatens or maybe crosses 3. I think you got to have that. And considering you have put a better, maybe not great, but better offensive line in front of him, considering last year you rolled out one of the worst wide receiver cores in the National Football League, you've put some weapons around him at the skill slot. You gave him John Brooks. You got him Deontay out of Pittsburgh. You brought in XL.
That'll be great, man.
You got some dudes. You built the offensive line. So it is fair to say, I want to see numbers reflecting in the quarterback stats. An average of 200 yards a game. Honestly, be happy if it's higher, but I think that's a minimum. I'd like to see an average of 1 touchdown pass per game. There's going to be some games I expect BY to have multiple tutties. There's going to be a couple of games I expect, because as Lonzo and Rashad have both pointed out, this is still a running team. We can sit here all day and talk about what we expect out of BY, but this is a running franchise. I have never fought back against that.
Hey, Rob, one thing the Panthers have are a lot of running backs.
A lot of running backs. Real full running back room. You got Chuba, you got Miles, you got John Brooks. You got a lot of running backs in that room. It's a running team, and they know that, which is why they're stocking running backs right now. They're going to give a lot of guys an opportunity to show that, and they'll probably go one run back deeper than most NFL teams do, because I do think they are going to run dramatically more than they're going to pass. What I would like to see is this team get to week 11 and get to a point where they can throw, not will, not have to, not obligated to, but can throw the ball a little bit more if they need to or if they want to. That's what I'm going with. So 200-ish yards a game on average. I'd like to see it above that number, but that's my minimum. I'd like to see a touchdown per game on average. I think a touchdown on game is a touchdown a game is average. I think that's acceptable. I would love to see that number at 20. If we can get him to 20 tutties in a year, I'll be thrilled about that. Now, we got a text a minute ago that said, Rob, I'd like to see BY threaten 4,000 yards. Last year, a third of quarterbacks threw for 10 or threw for 4,000 yards. There were 10 quarterbacks who threw for 4K yards last year. I think 35 is probably optimistic. I said 3,250 is my number. I'm going to go 3,250. I would also like to see less than 10 INTs. I'd like to see the INT. INTs come from 3 things: bad luck, bad decision-making, or great defense. One of the 3. You're going to bump up against some great defenses this year. You're going to have a tip ball or 2 that's going to go to a bad guy. That's going to happen. But I'd like to see the INTs from bad decisions be negated. I'd like to see them go to 0. That's the big thing that's going to happen. So those are the stats I'm looking for. But I'd like to see, as a great one pointed out just a minute ago, I'd like to see BY get better with decision-making, which I think can happen because he's not going to be running for his friggin' life every snap now. I'd like to see him get better at the mid-range ball, which requires a nice little healthy combination of time to establish, time to let the route develop, and time to throw a good ball. I'd like to see the mid-range pass become more effective. And now with XL and Deontay on the outside and Adam Thielen running the slot, I'd like to see the long ball occasionally. All of this based around still being a running team. So, Armada, what is the definition of a successful rookie second year for Bryce Young? We'll take more of your answers and talk some more NFL when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, quick live read. We're coming back. Y'all stay right there for me.
love to leave early today. That would be awesome.
I'm going to tell you, I am.
I am not caught up because of star stuff. Most of it's paperwork. And I could technically maybe zoom through the paperwork. We'll
Yep.
see. Been chastised for not taking a nap the last couple of weeks. When I go after I walk, I can't go to sleep, and then I start to drift off right when it's time for her to come home. And it's like, yeah, I can't. If I nap for 15 minutes, it's not going to help me. I think it was easier for me when I did the morning show in the beginning of my career here because the kids. I had to get my sleep in before a certain time because I had to either go pick them up from school and then go to whatever game or practice. Now I just yell at the cat.
Oh, man. The Panthers had a lot of courage.
We're throwing back so far that I remember that Rob said that, but I remember the context was the Panthers, but I don't remember exactly that part.
We got too many inside jokes on this show.
But we do have people with good memories. It doesn't help us, though. Cloudy, you think?
What was the context of that conversation?
I don't remember.
I don't either.
It was you defending Bryce Young.
Yeah.
And you talked about him having courage, but I don't remember.
I got to go dig that segment up somewhere.
No, I think it was Dan Rather, one of those guys, their last time on the air. Last thing they said was courage. And then there's Courage the Cowardly Dog or the Cowardly Lion. There's so many associations. New life in the next break. Amidst my rambling, did he hear what I said?
I did. New life after the break.
Not touching that, Steven. Not touching it. We appreciate all our sponsors.
We left. The Rob Brown Show carries on. It's the Fan Upstate, rolling on through hour number 3. Going to move on to some other stuff, but I will leave the text line open at 71307 and the phone line open at 844-326-3663, 844-FANFONE, 844-326-3663. Call in, text in 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, and let us know, what do you want to see to describe Bryce Young's rookie campaign this year, which is definitely his rookie year, as successful? 71307 is the text number. Start your text with FAN or call us at 844-326-3663. Let's get to some more very interesting stories. There is one predominantly that I wanted to get to here. I know that we have talked a little bit, and I know this isn't everybody's cup of joe, but it is for me. By the way, keep texting your answers. I'm going to come back to those and read those in a minute because we just got a couple in already, so I'll respond to those very briefly. Jimmy Dunn, if you're a golf guy, is a name you will have heard pop up over the last year and a half or so. And that is because Jimmy Dunn was a member of the PGA Tour's policy board. The PGA Tour's policy board, according to Sports Illustrated, had a large hand in beginning the negotiations between the PGA Tour and the LIV Tour. Jimmy Dunn was a big part of that. Jimmy Dunn was the guy who predominantly created the framework for a successful negotiation, which we have not yet had, between the PGA Tour and the LIV Tour. The framework of a potential negotiation was put in place by Jimmy Dunn, and yesterday, Jimmy Dunn quit. Jimmy Dunn resigned from his position and the PGA Tour Policy Board kind of out of the blue yesterday. And when asked why he decided to step away from that job, he said in a letter obtained by Sports Illustrated that, quote, no meaningful progress has been made towards a transaction with PIF, end quote, and went on to say that players have seized control of the board and that, quote, my vote and my role is utterly superfluous. You know how mad you got to be to include the word superfluous in a response to something?
You do that so all the writers, all the sports writers have to write down superfluous.
Superfluous, adjective, exceeding what is sufficient or necessary, extra, not needed, or unnecessary. He said, my vote and my role is utterly superfluous. Now, the overwhelming majority of you do not care that Jimmy Dunn stepped away, retired, left, quit, resigned, whatever you want to use here. None of you really care. I do. Whatever is going to happen, whatever direction this is going to go, I need it to happen. I recognize that despite my disdain for the LIV Tour, and despite my hope that the LIV Tour and the PGA Tour go their separate ways, and even though the LIV Tour has unlimited money glitch turned on, the PGA Tour gets creative and crafty enough to come up with a way to beat them. And again, I do think the way to beat them is to continue to play traditional golf on courses that fans have come to know and love. You still got to be at Augusta, at Bethpage Black, at Winged Foot, at Valhalla, at Pebble Beach. You still got to play the courses that we know and love, the courses that we have watched for so many years and are so familiar with that when a guy hits a drive hook off to the right on 6, we all know what's over there. And we all know what the shape is. And we all know the danger he's in. Or when a guy eagles out from the right side of the fairway on 12, we all go, holy crap, there's a false shelf on top of that green that you've got to get up but not over because it falls off on the back. When we know these courses, we're familiar because we've been watching them for 100 years. And the tournaments are played by the best players. I had a take on Twitter not terribly long ago where somebody made commentary about the ratings for golf tournaments falling off. And I said, it's really not that complicated. It's not. On one hand, you have the PGA Tour, which is watered down right now. At the majority of tournaments, we understand that about half of the world's best players aren't there. I got a group of buddies from here that are going to the PGA Championship at Valhalla this weekend. And in fact, I was having a conversation with one of them last night at Raw. And the conversation was, it's kind of watered down. Like, I know I'm going to get to see Eldrick and Rory and the PGA guys, but I'm not going to get to see Bryson DeChambeau. I'm not going to get to see John Rahm. I'm not going to see about half of the world's best players because they're on the LIV Tour. They can't play this event. And that does water it down. Even though it is at a course that not only do I love, but I actually love Valhalla. It's one of my favorite courses to watch. It is watered down. Over on the other side, over on the LIV Tour, you got a lot of problems. Number one, as I mentioned, you're on a bunch of courses I don't know. I don't know what the hell this course is you're playing in Dubai. So I got to lean on, respectfully, very pedestrian play-by-play and color commentary. And I don't say that disrespectfully. What I'm saying is great at talking about golf, not so great at like taking us into the golf course and telling us what's happening. They basically set you up for a shot, call the shot, move to the next shot. They don't really give you anything. They don't really give you anything to work with. And so when you combine those things and the same problem, which is they got half the world's best golfers, but the other half aren't there, the LIV Tour is struggling. The reality is this. I need whether I like it or not, and I do not. I need the LIV Tour and the PGA Tour to come to a conclusion. Whether it is a handshake agreement of we're going to do this. Hey, the LIV guys can play on, 10 of our tournaments a year, but in response, the PGA guys can go play in 10 LIV Tour events a year, and we're going to spread the calendar around, or whatever arrangements they're going to come to. We're going to split it. You're just going to become half of what we do. We'll play half our tournaments here in America on traditional courses that we love, and half our tournaments in other parts of the world on courses that Americans don't know. Whatever the agreement, I need them to come to it. And I need to come to it because the longer this goes on and the more we get these watered down tournaments where maybe it's on a course I love, but half the players I know ain't there, or over here, half the players I know ain't there, and I don't know what the hell they're doing. I don't know with this course at all. The watered down version of golf that we are getting right now, the watered down version of golf we're getting right now is not good for golf. And the audience numbers are reflecting that. I think there are a lot of hosts that get very dramatic. Oh, baseball ratings, golf ratings, NASCAR ratings, they're in decline. Woe is me, the sport. I heard a host on Saturday, hilariously, a host based out of Detroit, Michigan, as a matter of fact, who went on and on and on and on and on Saturday about how NASCAR's dying. It's dying. It's gasping for air. You got to make these guys turn right. You got to make them do this and that. And I'm like, guys, this sport is not meant to exponentially grow. Do they want to grow the sport? Sure. But NASCAR knows it's a niche sport. It's a sport that's going to have a diehard audience that never goes anywhere. And occasionally they're going to have some spikes, but it's not a sport that's out there trying to compete with the NFL. NASCAR's fine. NASCAR's fine. Golf's not. You want a sport to pick on? You want a sport to be worried about? It's golf. And so when I got the guy who was the front runner in Jimmy Dunn of building towards this negotiation and building the framework towards this compromise, towards this whatever agreement they were going to turn into. And he steps away and he goes, it doesn't matter. We're not doing anything. We drew it up. We got going in that direction. We started having something play out, and then nothing's happening. It's a bummer because I genuinely feel like this, you want to be worried about a sport? It ain't NASCAR. It ain't NASCAR. It's the PGA Tour. It's golf. And when the guy who would have gotten his name written down in history if he was able to negotiate and organize some sort of meeting point to make golf great again, had he done that, that'd have been great. And instead he went, yeah, I'm just going to quit. I'm just going to leave because we're not going anywhere.
This was on me. My bad.
That's a bummer, dude. It's a bummer because it tells me nothing's going to change and golf is going to keep being this half-ass watered-down product that it's been for the last couple of years. And that is, as a golf lover, a bummer. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. I knew that because you told me that in the last break. Hey, live read. Be right back. Don't go anywhere, guys.
holding keys.
Lonzo almost took out one of the other hosts, like a tiny host, almost got flat backed by the great one.
She just looked up and was like, hey. I was like, hey. And then she walks on by. It's like, for someone that size, I am very monster-like. I get that. The person who I nearly have run into the most is the one person who I probably would have enjoyed the impact with.
You and Fat Boy having a collision would rattle this building.
No. I think it would probably be it would be like Bronson Reed and Otis. The person who I'm talking about now resides in Michigan.
Fair enough.
Many times rounding the corner at the same time. And the look of panic on his face and the smile on my face was just enough. Not doing it on purpose. We only got a couple of minutes to get to the restroom and get back. So,
I had our entire section doing a Tozawa chant last night.
As well, you should. He's been a mainstay that people just don't talk about enough. How long has Tozawa been there? He's been there a long
forever.
time. Yeah,
because he was in NXT as a ninja. His run around as a ninja stick was one of the greatest of all time.
He was
cool. Hilarious. We are starting to see NFL schedule results trickle in as the NFL is. I wonder if these are releases or leaks.
What's the point? No, they're releases. What's the point? I mean, so the Kansas City game that was released by Kansas City's X account. So that's where I saw that at. It's, by the way, former Chiefs Marquez Valdez Scantling signed with the Bills. They still need receivers.
Josh Allen's gonna be so damn mad.
Yeah, he is. Now if they could just take Kadarius Toney off our hands.
Cadaverous Tony. So week 1, first Monday Night Football game of the season is going to be the San Francisco 49ers.
Hey, Aaron Rodgers, we know you're coming off of the injury. Say hello to the San Francisco defense.
Say hello to my little friend. Good luck. Good luck, Aaron Rodgers' Achilles. That's going to be a blast. Do we believe in the Jets with Aaron Rodgers?
With the healthy Aaron Rodgers, I absolutely do. But believe in them for what? Do I believe that they can make a run to the playoffs? Yes. Can they go deep in the playoffs? I don't know. Because the AFC is still, to me, stronger than the NFC.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree. Can they win the division? Can they win the AFC East? You got Tua in Miami. Tua's about to sign a fat contract. I think he was waiting on Jared Goff's
overrated
extension.
after all the hype. After all the hype, we heard Miami's back, and they didn't really do anything.
I mean, they didn't do anything. If that game's not in frostbite temperatures, Miami's competitive in that game. I'm not saying they would have won it, but I'm saying that game's competitive if it's not 2 degrees outside.
I find your tone disrespectful.
I don't care. If you're outside to the point that your fingers fall off, you're an idiot. Why are we playing football in that?
Your hatred of Mother Nature, she's going to get you.
No, because if I ever wake up and the news guy gets on TV and goes, hey, if you go outside, your toes are going to fall off, I'm not going outside. I'm just not. I will sit in my car.
That did contribute to me moving south for sure.
Yes, it did. That's exactly the point. You left so that you didn't have to do that anymore. If the Dolphins play the Chefs, not in toes falling off degrees outside, that game's competitive. I am not out on the Fins. I'm not out on the Fins. And, oh, by the way, they add Odell Beckham Jr. to the ranks. Now, Odell's only a 450-yard-a-season guy, but Odell is a big play catch guy. He's a guy that in the biggest moments, he did it for Baltimore, in the biggest moments you go, oh, damn, I forgot Odell was on that team still, because he comes out and he makes a one-handed stupid catch somewhere that blows your mind. That's what Odell does.
Yeah, that's a player you want that you go, oh, he's still on the team. No, you want someone who's going to contribute enough that you know they're on the team.
Listen, that Dolphins wide receiver core was already good. Jalen Waddle is one of the best in the league right now. They've got pass catchers down there. I don't really need like another big player. You got Tyreek, you got Jalen Waddle, you got Braxton Berrios as your slot. I actually really like that guy.
As the Jets team changed over this year, I mean, it was built supposedly to do really well, and then Aaron got hurt. Has there been major changes? So it's just been put off a year. That's all.
I'm going to start with
defense still pretty good for the Jets.
This is going to be a sentence some people are going to hate. Aaron Rodgers has got to prove it to me this year. You got to prove it to me this year.
He's got to prove it. He's got to prove it to
your
everybody because he did well in one spot. He's moved somewhere else, and he's got to be able to do well in a different location. Sometimes quarterbacks can do really well where they were drafted and where they played. They go somewhere else and they disappear. Sure. It could happen. I don't really think that's going to happen. The main thing for Aaron Rodgers will be his Achilles. If he doesn't recover from that enough, then he's going to struggle. If he has, he's going to play pretty well. He was having one of the better seasons of his career, his last season in Green Bay. Why would that have changed? Technically, everyone believed, or at least it was said by the experts, that he went to a better team.
I for the record, I do. Well, I don't know. Green Bay looked pretty good last year.
They
looked
did.
Pretty good. A lot of people think Green Bay can compete with Detroit this year for the division. I don't. I think Detroit's going to be better than them, but a lot of people think Green Bay is going to be a threat this year. I'm not quite ready for that. I do think they'll be good. I don't know. Here's what I'll say. If the Buffalo Bills don't find a way to get a true one, or if Keon Coleman doesn't turn into a true one, because that ain't MVS. We know that. That's not the guy.
Well, here's the thing. If he's on the level of Patrick Mahomes, it shouldn't matter.
Yes, it does.
He should be able to elevate the guys around him, and even though they may not be as good, and Keon Coleman pretty hyped, he should be able to take them to another level.
I'm going to push back on Keon Coleman was pretty hyped. There were very clearly two tiers of wide receivers, and he was not in the top one. And that's from a guy who loves Keon Coleman.
Should I have said pretty hyped by Rob Brown? I'm sorry. I left that part off.
I'm gonna go one step further and clarify that. As a dude, as a guy I want to go hang out and play golf with, you're damn right he is. As a number one wide receiver, I have said many times, we got to hang on and find out.
If Josh Allen is who everyone seems to think he is, he should be able to elevate the receivers around him, and this core should be good enough.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
He's missing one guy left. That's it. Just one guy.
A Pro Bowl All-Star caliber cat that they replaced with a dude that even I, a big fan, don't know if he's going to be the guy.
Who was disgruntled while he was there.
Doesn't matter. He was still great. If you're telling me, if the dude is ticked off and he's a Pro Bowl guy, imagine what he does if he's happy where he is. Let's get Shane up in here. Sugar Shane's been kind enough to hang on the line for a minute. He gets some time to talk. Bryce Young, what's up, big dog? Welcome to the show.
What's up, big dog? First, before I get into Bryce Young, I would just like to say that, of course, you like Braxton Berrios as a slot, and I'm going to leave that there. But then, ultimately, I agree with you on Bryce Young. He had an offensive line that was more porous than SpongeBob, and if he did have time, he had wide receivers that couldn't get open better than my short, fat ass. So last year, he had 2,800 passing yards, 11 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. This year, I would like to see 3,400 at least, 20 touchdowns, and 10 to 12 interceptions. I'd love to see 10 or less, but 10 to 12 is probably an acceptable range for me. And then I really want to see if Dave Canales can unlock that elite processing that I thought he had coming out of Alabama. I always said that kid was like Neo in the Matrix when it came to being in the pocket, where it didn't matter how many bullets were flying around him. He was going to find an open guy. And last year, I think just the speed of the NFL and the fact that he literally had 2.5 seconds maybe to get throws off, that he just needs more time. So that's what I'm expecting from Bryce Young this year.
I'm good with that. I'm actually good with those numbers. In fact, you're kind of in the same ballpark that I am, Shane. I said I said 3250. I do think you got a better set of wide receivers. Yeah, you got to have time to develop chemistry. That's not just something that comes to, you like to think it comes together in camp, but you got to play full speed against somebody else to get there. So I think it's probably a slow start of the season, 3250. I'd like to see average of a touchdown a game. That puts you in the range of 17. And then I'd like to see a few games where he gets multiple when he's feasting on a bad defensive backfield. So let's say 20. I'm very good with that. I said 10 interceptions or fewer. Again, you're going to have every quarterback in the league is going to have a couple of balls that get tipped at the line and just bad luck brings them into the waiting arms of a defender. I need to see that the INTs limited to mistake or not mistakes, but bad luck and not mistakes, right? It's a tip ball from a defensive tackle that goes the wrong way, or it's a Bryce hits a wide receiver in the breadbasket and then he takes a shot and the ball pops out and somebody grabs it. If you keep me at 10, maybe a dozen tops, I'm probably good with that. But from the aspect of attributes, Shane, and this is really what I'm leaning on, I think you nailed the first thing. The reason BY was a top prospect was because of the processing, the ability to see the field, understand what's happening, know where he wants to go with the ball before it's time to execute the throw. And he did not, behind Alabama's offensive line, which was one of the best offensive lines in the history of college football, my man had 30 seconds to sit back there. Last year, he had 2. It's going to take some transition. If they can get him to where he's got just an average amount of time in the pocket, not just an average amount of time in the pocket, Bryce Young is going to look like a different person this year. I believe that.
Completely agree.
Shane, appreciate you, big dog. Good to have you, man. Thanks for checking in. More porous than SpongeBob. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's fair.
It's in the theme song.
It's fair.
It's in the theme song.
Absorbent and yellow and porous is he.
I did have to look up the receiver because I just to see how white he was. That's all.
I am leaning on, if nothing else. We talked about it last year. It was the source of Lonzo's favorite thing that I do on the show, a graph. And I brought up the graph. It was like week 12, 13 of last year.
Oh, that was sarcasm. Oh,
yes.
Okay. All right.
Lonzo hates graphs.
I got that. Yes, I do.
I brought out the graph. The graph I brought out last year.
I hate his graphs. Graphs in general, I'm okay with.
Last year, I brought out a graph that was an XY axis chart. And on the bottom, it had time to throw on average. And on the side, it had accuracy. And Bryce Young was way up in the left-hand corner of that graph. He had the least time in the pocket to throw, the least time in a clean pocket to throw, but the highest accuracy in the league when he had a clean pocket. When BY had a clean pocket, he was the most accurate passer in the National Football League last year when he had a clean pocket.
Hey, you know what?
He just never had a clean pocket.
I could hit a home run if the ball's thrown to me, right? I mean, there's just, I mean.
Do you understand the difference?
The situation had to be perfect, and when it was, he could accomplish what he was set out to do. Okay. So adversity, not so much. But when the situation was perfect, he looked really good.
This took into consideration an NFL clean pocket, which is 3.5 seconds. You get 3.5 seconds, that's a clean pocket. When quarterbacks got 3.5 seconds, he was more accurate than Patrick Mahomes, than Lamar Jackson, than Aaron Rodgers wasn't on the chart, but Aaron Rodgers, than Derek Carr, future first-round Hall of Famer. He was more accurate than everyone else in a clean pocket. To me, I am less concerned about the up-down on the graph and more concerned about the left-right on the graph. It is not the accuracy that I'm even bragging about. It is the fact that of 32 starting quarterbacks, he had dramatically less time than all of them. Give him an average. What happens if you slide his y-axis dot over to the middle of the chart where he has an average amount of time in the pocket? He's already the most accurate guy in the league when he's got the least amount of time. You slide that over to the middle of the chart and that dot in the middle probably goes up. Yes, This is how we judge a quarterback. That is one of the ways that we do.
You should join us on the stream because Rob just did the safety dance, and you could have seen it.
B, 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 R, 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 Y, 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 C, 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 E, 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 Bryce, Bryce, Bryce. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Remix that. Somebody remix that.
No.
Let's make that a banger.
Let's not.
Somebody remix
let's not
that.
do that.
Skrilla, remix that. Get it done. Sports Flash.
What?
Are we early?
What,
are you paying attention?
No, we're good.
Okay.
Well, what have I done? The Cleveland Cavaliers put up a fight, but with Donovan Mitchell unavailable, fell just shy of the Boston Celtics 109-102. Jason Tatum scored 33, and Jaylen Brown had 27 in the win, while the Cavs shot only 7 free throws in the losing effort. The Celtics now lead the series 3-1. The one-seeded Oklahoma City Thunder tied their series with the Dallas Mavericks at 2 after a 100-96 win last night. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 34 and added 8 rebounds in the win, while Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving combined for just 27. Tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for our brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, and a whole lot of fun. And yes, you guessed it, it's all Wire to Wire. Construction Cam. Want to hear about the Jam Cam. What are you doing, Bill? Wow. Took me 4 waves before it finally worked. My magic is off today.
There had to be a better way. Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation. Revolutionary treatments for joint pain you're here. 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772 in Greenville and in Nashville. QC Kinetics, 864-448-3772.
Want to make this Father's Day extra special? Forget the ties and socks. What Dad really wants is the Upstate Golf Cart. Picture this, 18 holes at 7 of the top courses in the Upstate, including the Preserve at Verde, Carolina Springs, The Rock, Greer Golf, Rolling Green, and more. And here's the best part. From now until Father's Day, the Upstate Golf Cart is on sale. That's right, grab 2 for just $125. Treat that to the ultimate golfing experience. Head over to upstategolfcart.com today. That's upstategolfcart.com. Make Dad's Day unforgettable with the Upstate Golf Cart.
If you're facing $10,000, $20,000, even $30,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt, stop struggling to stay afloat and call Accredited Debt Relief today for faster relief. Depending on your financial situation, you may qualify for a 40% or higher reduction in your monthly payments and only have to make one consolidated monthly payment you can afford. Accredited Debt Relief has helped over 300,000 qualified consumers pay off over $1 billion in debt, earning them an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. This is the light at the end of the debt tunnel to become debt-free. So make the call to Accredited Debt Relief now and see how much you can save. There's no obligation, so call now and get relief from your debt faster.
Call 888-794-4844. 888-794-4844. That's 888-794-4844.
Program and services not available in all states. Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Turn on.
You know, I think there's a new rule.
I just hear the cat every time.
That's all I hear now.
If you're a national radio show host and you host shows nationwide on whatever affiliate it may be, whether it's sports, TV, or radio, you must sign here. Sign the dotted line and agree that you will give lazy takes for the next 3 years on LeBron James and how his antics and complaining and flopping hurt his legacy. In reality, we have never used...
Kelsey Plum just dropped her own line of cigars. I'll give it a shot.
I don't know who she is.
Yeah, you do.
Maybe if I saw her.
WNBA or who Caitlin Clark broke her record for points in an individual season.
Oh, okay. Okay, now I think I know.
She was married to damn, what's his name? She got divorced this summer. I'm gonna slap myself when I remember. Darren Waller.
Did you see that Edgar Wright is trying to renew the movie or remake the movie Barbarella?
Oh, subscribe. Do it.
No, Sydney Sweeney to star. Come
I'd
on.
give her a shot. I'd give her a shot.
Yeah, but Barbarella is just.
Give her a shot.
It's just.
That was Pam Anderson, the first one, wasn't it?
No. You're thinking of the wrong thing.
What am I thinking of?
It's Jane Fonda.
Oh, okay. Yep. What am I thinking of?
No, I know what you're thinking of. She was in leather. And
Yeah.
I don't remember what that was. But the other thing is it's aliens and lots of sex with every alien.
Captain Barbed Wire. That was Pam
yeah,
Anderson.
yeah.
Barbed Wire. Rob cracking a cold one at 9 a.m. Listen, Rob is not above morning drinking, but
There was a character in Barbarella named Duran Duran, which is where Duran Duran came from.
beautiful.
Yes.
I don't think I've actually ever seen the OG Barbarella. So guess I got homework.
It's sure.
I'm waiting for it. Yeah, I'll do it myself.
It's not feeling it. This is, I mean, look outside.
Certified hater mode.
No. Yeah, well, maybe that's what it is. All this Bryce Young talk is it's just.
Certified hater mode.
Certified hater mode. Well,
I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
because the people want to talk.
You're going to further depress us for the upcoming season.
My loins have been tingling.
Well, you're the only one.
All right. We'll get away from that a little bit. If you want to jump in, text line 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N. We will read them on the air. 71307 is the text line. The phone line's open for you as well. 844-FAN-PHONE. That is the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas. Fan phone, 844-326-3663. 844-326-3663. Texture says, Rob, success means playoffs, period. I'm tired of hearing people say improvement, this or that is a measure of success. Yes, improvement is incredibly important to be successful, playoffs, but simply improving doesn't mean a franchise is successful. In a league where the ultimate prize is getting the Lombardi, we can't say winning 4 to 5 games defines a successful season. The standard for success for every team should be winning your division or sneaking in via wild card. While improvement is necessary to obtain that, it's a bleep poor justification to say success is anything other than making the playoffs. I get that attitude. Texter, I totally get that attitude. At the end of the day,
especially the NFC South and how bad it's been.
Correct. At the end of the day, every team comes into the season with a series of goals. And if you talk to a coach, and I don't care if you're talking middle school, high school, college, pro, AAU, flag, whatever. The goal for just about every team to start the season is win the division. Whatever that division is. Win the region, win the division, win whatever. Win that first. Because that's the step. If you're going to win a championship, you have to do that first. And then once you win that, then it becomes win a playoff game. And then it becomes win a playoff, whatever, series, race, whatever. And then it becomes win the championship. I agree with you. There is only one goal in the National Football League, and that goal is Lombardi. But an NFL franchise kind of has to operate the way that you and I do when we are trying to achieve a goal. Lonzo and I have goals of various statures. One of the goals that we have every year is win the South Carolina Broadcasters Association Sports Talk Radio Show of the Year award. We did it this past year. We did not do it the year before that, and you heard me call myself a failure multiple times because that was a goal we set out to do, and I didn't get it done. And I wear that. I wore that I hung a red sequin jacket in this window on the stream for a year and a half to remind myself every day, you have a goal. Get there. Win that award. Lonzo got us there. We won that award. The jacket came down. Lonzo and I have spent the last week making sure that everything we can do to win that award this year has been done. And listen, if we get beat, we get beat. Even the greats lost. Wayne Gretzky did not win every Stanley Cup. Michael Jordan did not win every NBA Finals. You're going to get beat. You're going to lose. Even the greats are going to lose.
Yeah, I'm staying humble over here. I learned my lesson.
Correct. The year before we did not win, I was absolutely talking to everybody. And then we got our kicked and I stopped talking everybody because I needed to dial in. We did. We got the trophy, and I don't talk anymore other than to say we're going big. If we lose, we lose. The attitude now is if we lose, we lose. But the point is, Lonzo and I have a goal of step one. We want to win the trophy. But step one is what? Step one's to get invited. Making the playoffs for us is getting invited to that dinner. If we get invited to that dinner and then we don't win, okay, whatever. We're in the building. We're in the playoffs. That is a step. We will consider that successful. Not as successful as we could be, but successful. However, there's a million things that start the day after that awards ceremony, working up towards next year, working up to the next year. Because I promise you, last year, Zoe and I got off the stage, got our picture made, went back to the table, and within like 10 minutes, we had the Phil Jackson rule. You got 10 minutes to enjoy it. And then what do we start doing? How are we coming back next year? What are we going to do next year? Do we need to book more guests? Do we need to do more interviews? Do we need to do more of this, less of that, more gimmicks and gags, more calls, more texts? What do we need to do to make sure we're back next year? How can we be better? For sure. But the point is, we were looking at how do we improve the individual things? And there is the recognition that sometimes the goal that you are striving to, it might not be something that you can just immediately do. Sometimes it's growth. It is steps. I'll give you another one. Rob Brown has a goal. One of the goals that I have, and I don't know that. I mean, I think I've said it before. I don't care if I haven't. One of the things that I would very much love is to get to the point where Lonzo and I are doing a national show out of this building, where he and I are sitting right here, but we are being broadcast syndicated nationally. That is a long-term goal for me. But I also recognize that there are a lot of folks in bigger markets that have advantages that the Great One and I don't have. The football equivalent of having better receivers and a better offensive line. Zoe and I don't have, and that's not to say we're not provided with, we've provided with a wonderful setup here, which is how we keep winning trophies. We have a great setup to succeed. But at the same time, the folks in New York, the folks in Chicago, in Boston, and Los Angeles, they have got resources we don't have because they're in a gigantic city with a huge budget. They have resources we don't have. So for us to compete with them and to beat them, it's going to be something that we have got to keep pushing and grinding and getting better and better and better and better and better so that one day we will pull the upset and get one of those wins. And then one day those upsets stop being upsets. They just start being wins. And then one day those wins aren't wins. They're expected of us. That's the goal. And that's kind of where the Panthers are right now. It is something that when you set goals, one of the hardest thing to do when you set a goal is to accept that long-term goals aren't easy to achieve. And every day you got to work towards that goal with the recognition and the acknowledgement that it might take you a week or a month or a year or 5 years or 10 years to get to. This is why so many people, for instance, I'll give you one off the top of my head, fail at retirement planning, right? It's why so many people don't have retirement savings. It's a hard thing to do because you start building up that nest egg and you come to the realization, especially with if you're young like I am, for sure. If I can retire at the regular retirement age, that is still 25 years away from now. So putting money aside and seeing that little investment account, cha-ching, 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 add up, and looking at it and going, I could go to Germany to watch the Saints play next year. I could go to Ireland to watch Notre Dame Navy next year. I got all that money right there because that's payoff now versus the goal I've set of being ready to use that money 25 years from now when I'm 65. Long-term planning is hard. And the belief that an NFL franchise, especially one that has been run into the ground like the Carolina Panthers have. I've been watching football a very long time. I've been covering football for 17 years. I've been on the radio covering the NFL. I've covered the Saints. I've covered the Jags. I've covered the Bucks. I've covered the Dolphins. Now I cover the Panthers. And I can tell you that. I said this earlier in the show. I can tell you that last year specifically, really the last 2 years, but last year specifically was one of the most pathetic single season efforts I have ever seen out of an individual franchise. It was one of the most pathetic individual years that I have seen out of an individual franchise in the coming up on 2 decades. Ugh. Lonzo just gave me the side eye because he realized what I did to myself.
I was writing something down and I was waiting for what was going to come after, and I wanted to make sure I saw it.
Yep. In the nearly 2 decades that I've been doing this, last year's Panthers were probably the most embarrassed I've ever been covering a team. Last year, because I am what I am. Last year, I got the opportunity, and I still do. I get called to go on the BetQL network, and whenever the Panthers are playing away games, I'll occasionally get calls from hosting those markets. Can you come on and talk about the Cats with us this year? Yada, yada, yada. It was embarrassing last year. I'm not a Carolina fan. I'm a supporter because, like I said earlier, do well, I get paid, and I'm all about getting paid. I'm not a fan. I'm a supporter because I get paid. I was embarrassed to talk about your team last year. I was embarrassed to be a representative of that team. I'm not a fan. I'm a Saints fan. I should have relished the opportunity to go on other stations and talk junk about a division rival. I should have relished it. I was embarrassed. I had secondhand embarrassment last year for what this team is and what this team had become and how this team was being run. I got an owner that's throwing Jack and Diets in the faces of fans. I've got a rookie quarterback who looks like he's never seen a damn football in his life. I got a dinosaur of a head coach who has no idea how to talk like a normal person, followed up by a special teams coach as the interim coach. Of course, my dinosaur coach followed the interim head coach that, whether you liked him or not, half the team did and half the team wanted him to stick around, and the owner basically went, bloop, nope, no chance.
I thought that's who you were talking about when you said dinosaur coach.
No, that's Frank Reich.
Oh, okay.
Frank Reich was a dinosaur.
All right.
Before that, you had Steve Wilkes, which, again, like him or not, the team liked him. And then the owner goes in there and goes, I don't really care what y'all want. I'm hiring this guy, the exact opposite of him. I'm hiring in every way, shape, and form, the exact opposite as the head coach, which divides the team further. Before that, I got a freaking cult leader as a coach. One of us. And I got to go on and try to talk this team up. It was embarrassing, dude. I hated that. I would do it because I'm a attention whore. What do you want? But I was embarrassed to do it, but I did it. And I'm looking now, and I'm saying this as somebody who, again, is a person, as a fan, is a rival. As a fan, is a rival. I'm optimistic for you, Carolina fans. I genuinely am optimistic for you. You have a head coach that right now, I played you the clip yesterday of Dave Canales breaking down an undrafted free agent, a UDFA. In fact, I still got it here.
Jalen Coker is one of the more popular undrafted free agent signings. What did you see from him? What do you like from him to bring him here?
Size, instincts, top of route, ability to separate. He's really crafty in zones. He knows how to find the open spaces. Has a little cool run after catch, too. He can break some tackles because of the size that he brings. Attacks the ball at the high point. I mean, the guy really does have a cool skill set that he brings to us. So I'm excited to see him, kind of get introduced as we start to, develop our football, especially in phase 3 OTAs. Let's see what he looks like against NFL talent. But I'm really excited about it.
Other than he's got a really cool skill set, which is kind of a dorky thing to say.
Dork.
And don't get me wrong, as a dork, I'm good with it.
It's a very football.
I'm good with it.
That's a very football thing to say. I don't know that.
Skill set is one thing. A really cool skill set. Kind of a dork thing to say. And I'm, again, totally fine with it because I'm a dork. I talk about football like a dork as well. But to me, that's what's needed. That's what's needed. I think for the last 3 years, you've had old school football guys, feel of the game guys. No. I need somebody that knows the analytics of a game, that understands really cool skill sets and how they fit into an offensive system. And that's Canales. I got a GM and Dan Morgan that's laser eyes right now. Just focused, dialed in, getting it done. Not Scott Fitterer. Couldn't be Scott Fitterer. Dan Morgan is. And again, I know that we want to keep giving him hell. And I got no problem with giving him hell. He's earned giving him hell. But Dave Tepper has had one misstep since Dan Morgan showed up on the scene. One. He's had a single misstep. And honestly, I gave him credit for the misstep because I think he was just trying to be a normal person. And let's be real, he does not have any idea what it's like to be a normal guy. Billionaires don't. They're disconnected from our reality. They have their own individual world they live in. So he tried to come down into our world. It didn't work. It's okay to be an ivory tower owner, my dude, as long as you're an ivory tower owner who stays the hell out of the way. And for the most part, he's done that. That's why I'm optimistic. Does it have something to do with BY? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Straight up. It absolutely does. But it has a lot to do with Dan Morgan and Dave Canales, and Dave Tepper. It has a lot to do with the team. But to that texter, to kind of finish up my thought on that, one thing I do think fans are going to have to recognize is that progress takes time. Whether it's an individual person, or it is a family, or it's a team, or a franchise, or a player, or whatever. The worse you are at a thing, the longer it's going to take to be good at that thing. You heard of the 10,000 hour rule? No matter what you want to be good at. If you want to be good at that thing, you got to put 10,000 hours of practice into it. Flying a plane, playing a guitar, throwing a football. If you want to be really good at a thing, you got to put 10,000 hours into it. And in football, you also got to keep in mind that on the other side of the line of scrimmage from you is 11 other guys who have also put in their 10,000 hours. Which means for every 10,000 hours they put in, you got to put in 10,001. I know I sound like a motivational coach right now. I'm not trying to. What I'm saying here is if you want to be better than the other guys, you got to put in even more work than them. So this is an NFL team that has been run into the ground for the past 3 seasons. Run into the ground for the past 3 seasons. So to get back out of that, don't be shocked if it takes 3 seasons. Don't be shocked. Now, I don't think it has to. I really don't. As long as Tep stays out of the way and as long as Dan Morgan stays locked in, I don't think it needs to take all that time. But what I can say is if you're coming into this year with the mentality of playoffs or GTFO, you're going to be disappointed. You just are. Because this team was so bad that to get it back, it's going to take a hell of a lot longer than a regular team. If this team was coming off of a year where they were 7-10, I'd be like, yeah, playoffs next year, right? Well, you can win the division next year. Lonzo, how many games did we win last year? How many games did the Cats win in 2023?
3? Was it 3?
I think. It was bad enough.
Yeah,
we forgot.
Yeah, I've moved on, Rob. We're looking to the future, man.
We're looking to the future. The Carolina Panthers won 2 games last year. They were 2-15.
Wow. I gave him an extra one in there.
So look. If I'm looking at Tampa Bay, $100 million man in Baker Mayfield. Can Tampa Bay expect to win the division this year? Yeah, their fans can have that expectation. The Saints were 9-8. Missed out on winning the division by half a game. Can they have expectations of winning the division? They shouldn't, but they could. The Falcons were 7-10 and got better in the offseason. Can they have it? Yes. You were 2-15, even with a new coach. Genuinely, your ambition should not be win the NFC South. It just shouldn't be, because it's going to be. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm saying that shouldn't be your expectation, because if you set your expectations so high that they're out of the realm of reality and you don't get there, you're just going to drive yourself away and make it harder to get better.
Yeah, but we said earlier, like 6 games, the past 2 or 3 years, you're in the hunt.
Yeah, for sure.
To win the South.
For sure. If this team was 6-11 last year, I'd be like, all right, wild card's in play for sure. For sure. But it's going to take time. Reaching long-term goals is hard. Let's take a break. We'll come back. Got a lot of stories I want to run through over the back 40, and then we'll get out of here. The Rob Brown Show, the Fan Upstate.
So are you interested in the fact that the rumor has now been confirmed that Nick Cage will be playing Spider-Man Noir in a live action?
Very.
On Prime.
Very.
Yes.
I will watch it the day it drops.
The story of an aging and down on his luck private investigator in the 1930s New York who was forced to grapple with his past life as the city's one and only superhero.
The day it drops, dude. Spider-Man Noir was my favorite part of the first animated movie.
Which was voiced by Nick Cage.
Nick Cage. So. That's why I'm all in for it. All right, into the bathroom. Be right back.
Correlation with the Spartanburg city's past history with the railroad industry, ownership felt as if the city was more known for its burgers. What do you think about the new name? This is Cole from Wire to Wire.
Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson.
This afternoon, 3 to 7 on the Fan. Upstate 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, and on the Odyssey app.
Ingles Markets is a proud sponsor of the Wire to Wire Sports Fan. From the playing field to the stands to your own living room, Ingles Markets has everything you need to fuel your athlete or satisfy all the hungry fans in your life. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
Hey, Terry here. Heading into the summer months, there are options for losing weight. The choices can be confusing, but I want you to pick the healthy, lifelong solution where you won't be hungry. It doesn't require medications, negative side effects, or forever dependency. I'm talking about PhD weight loss, where all you need to do is show up, learn, and put their advice into action. With coaching every step of the way, thousands of PhD weight loss clients will tell you it works, because PhD addresses all of the vices that contribute to weight gain, and it tackles them with new habits. PhD weight loss is a glorious new lifestyle designed by registered dietitian and licensed nutritionist Dr. Ashley Lucas. You won't be hungry. You'll learn what to eat, when to eat, while you drop the pounds, achieve your ideal weight, and 10 years from now, you'll have the PhD tools to help you lose the weight and keep it off. PhD Weight Loss. Get started today. Go to myphdweightloss.com. That's myphdweightloss.com. And tell them Tara sent you.
Progressive knows when you own a boat, life on land is a tough sell.
Come on down to land. It's the place where you get to do so much waiting. You can wait in traffic, drive-thrus. You can even wait at the doctor's in a room specifically made for waiting. It's Land, baby. Come and sit patiently for a while, then wait even longer. It's Land.
Life on a boat is way more relaxing, and it's even more relaxing when you protect your boat with Progressive, America's #1 boat insurer. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company of affiliates, #1 rating based on 2022 boat market share data from FreeFinance.com.
If you're looking for the most epic place on earth, let's start at the base of a massive waterfall. Then trek through the thick jungle. Then climb to the peak of a snowy mountaintop. Then once you get there, keep going. Because it's intelligent 4x4 and 7 drive modes, and a Nissan Pathfinder, the search is the real adventure. A digital feature, intelligence for life will capture the collisions and provide enhanced traction in all conditions, always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
When the flowers come into bloom, it is like a field of dreams.
If I'm late, it's because I ran into the boss in the bathroom and he wanted to talk about Damian Priest.
Ingles has really brought awareness And they've made it convenient.
I talked to him about it yesterday. So.
I've just been informed that we got name credit on the Sportskeeda wrestling site for the Damian Priest interview. So we did it. I don't know what it's for. Let's see.
Please let it be for the thing that I tried to make happen.
Really bring it on wire to wire. Turn it on and leave it on.
Man upstate. Texas at 71307. This is the Rob Brown
The Rob Brown Show continues here on a Tuesday morning, final hour of the show. Winding down, we just got a text that said we did indeed make a dirt sheet yesterday, that we got name dropped on the Sportskeeda website, which is kind of taken off a lot in the last year or year and a half, couple of years, as one of the bigger ones. But said we got name dropped on it. I am looking to try to find where it is.
Must not have been added.
Yeah, we didn't get the promo to that. I'll find it. Yeah, anyway, we'll see where it's at.
I was just
we had one goal. Get dropped on a dirt sheet.
Yeah,
Mission accomplished,
yeah,
if it's true.
Every time that we talk to a wrestler, we're not really trying to do that, but we now start to expect it to happen because of our riveting and insightful questions that get the wrestlers to open up about things that they wouldn't normally do anywhere else. That's why.
Yeah.
It's a journalism, yo. That's what we do.
That's what we do. We're just out here making headlines. That's all. All right. I got a few more things that I wanted to get through and to in the final hour of the show. Let's jump on board first and foremost. WNBA season kicks off this evening. Caitlin Clark and her Indiana Fever will be in action for the very first time tonight. And I am going to say, I was going to say, I'm really curious as to what the ratings are going to look like tonight. You got 4 games lined up, 7, 7:30, 10, and 10 o'clock. You've got New York at Washington. You've got Indiana at Connecticut, Phoenix at Las Vegas, and Minnesota at Seattle tomorrow night. The other team that everybody's looking forward to seeing, including Camila Cardoso's Chicago Sky on the road at Dallas and Atlanta, is at LA tomorrow night. Caitlin will suit up again on Thursday when New York travels back to Indiana, and that'll be her first home game Thursday evening.
By the way, really quick, Sportskeeda is quoting them. Speaking on the Rob Brown Show, Priest revealed that he and Grammy award-winning rapper Bad Bunny had to fight for the show. They were ultimately able to convince the company.
I thought that might have been it.
Yeah, so there you go. We didn't get added, but the name is on there in italics. So at least we got some italics.
Oh, yeah. Kind of a big deal. That's
and then they took a direct quote from the show.
I like that.
Put on there.
I like that. Oh, just found it. Yep, there it is. I dig it.
A couple of direct quotes. Hey man, add us. That's
add me, dog.
I mean, come on.
Don't worry. I'm 100% gonna write them and be like, hey, can you link?
Yeah.
Can you link to the interview?
I mean, that's how. I mean, we're all like a big family, a big wrestling family. Let's add each other.
Yeah, come on now. Give us some love. Give us some love. Oh, they quoted this from Fightful, which means we got to be over there too. I mean, we're just out here killing the game. It's what we do. It's just what we do. Get used to it. All right. I was gonna say I'm really intrigued by what and I am. The only question, it's not how many people are gonna. I mean, it is how many people are gonna watch. It's not if they're gonna watch. It's how many people are gonna watch. Everything that has been touched by Caitlin Clark and Camila Cardoso and, the entire crop of very good young players that made their way into the WNBA draft. Everything they've touched has been golden. To the point that even the WNBA stars that are in the league, that are consistent, that have been here for a minute, they're starting to benefit from it too. We said yesterday on the show, A'ja Wilson just got a shoe deal with Nike. She's been in the league for a hot minute. She's a 2-time champ. She is not
Fightful did add us.
Yeah.
I clicked the app button just to see what would happen, and it linked to the video.
To the video?
Yes.
Dope. Love that. Love
So,
that.
I know I keep interrupting, but it's,
No, that's worth it.
Yeah.
That's worth it. So there are established WNBA stars who are now benefiting from that. And it is. You don't have to like it. It's the Caitlin Clark effect. It just is. It is the Caitlin Clark effect.
There are some people out there very offended by that.
They really are.
I am interested to see if what you think will happen, or what I think will happen. History will provide us with that. Will she be a footnote and be forgotten like other WNBA players have been, or will she cause, it's not a renaissance because the viewership hasn't been there like what they want yet. Will she cause a
revolution?
Will that happen?
And listen, it's fair to ask. Again, you think Caitlin Clark's going to be another WNBA player? I think Caitlin Clark is going to continue to be Caitlin Clark. I think she's going to continue to be a star. Now, what I am, as far as the numbers for this evening's debut go, what I am interested in is what the Indiana at Connecticut game ratings are. That game's going to be on ESPN2, ESPN Plus, and Disney Plus versus the other games. Now, Phoenix and Vegas will also, that's defending champs, be on ESPN2, ESPN Plus, and Disney Plus. The other two games, New York at Washington at 7 p.m. and Minnesota at Seattle, will both be on ESPN3. What I am curious is what the Indiana Fever ratings look like versus the other three games that are taking place today. Now, there's a lot of variables beyond just Caitlin Clark. There's a lot of variables past just Caitlin Clark. Accessibility is one of them. This has been something that a lot of folks have been, myself included, talking about for a while, which is it's real difficult to get people to tune into a thing if that thing is hard to tune into. It is real difficult for Major League Baseball, for instance, to grow their audience when it's damn near impossible to get tuned into their games. You got Bally Sports Fight with Comcast over here. You got them signing a deal with Roku over here that's going to lock up an early Sunday game every Sunday through the end of the season. You don't have Roku? Tough. Can't watch that game. Sorry about it. And then putting the Yankees on it, putting the Braves on it, putting the Red Sox on it. It's tough to make it work. It is tough when blackout restrictions for a Wednesday 2:30 in the afternoon game prevent me from watching. I've complained about this many times on the show. It is super frustrating when there's a 2:30 Wednesday Braves game and I base my day around watching it. I'm like, this is perfect, right? Spend a couple hours in the office, pack it up, go home, cook a little lunch, sit down, work at the sofa in the living room or in the couch in the bro cave, and put the Braves on at 2:30 and watch 9 innings of Braves ball while I work. And then I get home and I try to put it on the TV and I get that notice. Due to blackout restrictions, this program is unavailable in your area. Why? It is Wednesday at 2:30 in the afternoon. You are not selling that game out, Atlanta. You're not selling that game out. And for the record, these are team and franchise decisions. The problem is they have to make these decisions to thrive. Those TV networks go, we'll give you $1 billion for a decade of carrying your team, but you have to give us the exclusive rights. And when we think that you haven't sold enough tickets, we're not going to put the game on TV. Or more importantly, you have to go this way to get it. And what's happened with baseball is, especially in the cord-cutting era, where I'm not saying there's 50,000 sites out there where you can pretty much stream any game you want for free. Allegedly.
Nah.
Allegedly.
That can't be.
Can't be. But in an era where that might, maybe, possibly be happening, all these people are going over there. And so the ratings come down, and then the money comes down, and then the product suffers. Don't make it hard to access your team. That's my concern with these numbers tonight. A lot of people are going to say, well, you know, if Indiana, Connecticut turns 3 million people and New York, DC turns 3,000 people, then it just showed you that people don't really care about the WNBA. They care about Caitlin Clark, which might be true. Just so we're clear, that might be true. I think the more apt comparison is not going to be Indiana versus Connecticut tonight. I think the more apt one would be Chicago v. Dallas on Wednesday. That's when Angel Reese and co. take to the floor for the first time. That's when Camila Cardoso takes to the floor for the first time. Or maybe tomorrow night, Atlanta at LA, Cameron Brink making her debut for the LA Sparks. That's a more apt comparison. But then you go down. Do you know Chicago at Dallas? That's a huge game. Do you know where Chicago at Dallas is airing on television, Lonzo? It's not. You're going to have to go find a stream, maybe somewhere, possibly, if you want to watch that game, because it's not being carried on a network. So there's a lot of people that are going to dunk on the ratings here and go, it's just Caitlin Clark. But the reality is they're not doing any favors by making it so hard to get to. But when we see shoe deals being handed out for tens of millions of dollars, Nike's not giving away a shoe contract just for the lulz. They got to believe it's going to be profitable. And I think it will be. All right, we'll talk more as we roll into the WNBA season. It tips off tonight at 7, New York at Washington. Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever at Connecticut. Almost said UConn. Connecticut. We're back after this to wrap up the Rob Brown Show with a Fan Upstate. Real fans pay $200 a month for their team. No, they don't. Promise you. Or if they do, I'm not a real fan. But Lonzo is the arbiter of fan cards.
No. I'm not an arbiter. I was going to ask James if he's some sort of arbiter. Since it's been abdicated, I guess someone has to assume the role.
Abdicated. Left the throne.
The throne is empty.
All right, guys. Stepping away for 45 seconds. Stay right there for me. All right, thanks for hanging in there, dudes.
Okay, that's not good. Mafia says, I love how they were thicker hot sauce and not some watery junk. Love it. At Motion writes, best hot sauce west of the Mississippi, also the best hot sauce east of the Mississippi. Pro tip, that's the whole United States. Finally.
So every day, the cat sits on the edge and is tempted to jump on the treadmill with me. What's going to happen when she makes that mistake? Are we both going to die, or is she just going to shoot off into the wall? And I tell her, don't do it. But it's a cat, so eventually the cat's going to go, and just make that leap. I have the treadmill in the corner. So she's going in the wall if she jumps on it. And I don't know if I'd be able to tell if a cat has a concussion or not. I mean, I don't know.
Customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for just $30 a line. Switch today. Some say Memorial Day is the unofficial start of summer, but I say this is...
You know, if we're going to be on the radar for something, I like that we're on the radar for wrestling.
You're wrong. You're wrong.
I find that extremely cool, and so is Dwayne.
Dwayne, I almost clicked the button.
Yeah, don't do it.
It's just a gut reaction at this point. Dwayne. Final segment of the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate. The Atlanta Braves get a win over the Chicago Cubs yesterday afternoon. 2-0, your final score line. You got a RBI from Ronald Acuna Jr., and you got an RBI from Zach Short. Who's Zach Short, you ask? Well, I'm glad you did. Zach Short is the player who stepped in to replace Austin Riley. Austin Riley came out of the game the other day. The final game against, who were we on the road with? I'm already blanking. God, I suck at this, dude. Against the Mets. That's who it was. I knew I could do it.
Well, you did stay out really late last night.
Really did, dude. I went way past the bedtime last night. Worth it. I said, it's the sacrifices I make for the people. I did it for the people. I am indeed a man of the people.
Apparently, I don't care about you people because I went to bed.
I know.
So,
I invited you. You didn't want to do it.
I wouldn't have been home till like 1 a.m. No,
yeah,
thanks.
I got to tell you, it took me 36 minutes to get out of the parking garage. 36 minutes to get out of the parking garage. Worth it. We parked on the top. We tailgate the top of the parking garage every show. It's like a tradition now. It's great. Anyway, Zach Short is a player that got picked up and brought in to replace Austin Riley while he is away. Came over from Boston, played 2 games there. Who was with the Mets earlier this year, played 10 games there. The year before that, he was with Detroit, played 112 games with the Detroit Tigers in 2023, has been with 3 teams so far this season. Again, not an impact player, not a guy that's going to be there for a very long time, but he came up in a big spot for Atlanta while filling in for Austin Riley, and it's what you brought him there for. That's what you brought him there for. That's all you needed him for. 2-0 win over the Braves, and more importantly, got the first in a 3-game series against Chicago against their best pitcher. And that's the predominant thing that you needed to make sure that you do. You needed to go out there and get the dub over Imanaga. You had to get the win over Imanaga. And they did. They did, which is, again, the best that you are hoping for there. You get the win. Now you move on. They are going to go today with Javier Assad. Javier Assad is good enough to win if you're off your game. I really like this series for Atlanta. Javier Assad, by the way, is 3-0 across 8 starts. I like this series for Atlanta because it is a challenge. It's a good Chicago team. They're not up there with Philly. They're not up there with the Dodgers. You got a 4-game set coming against the Padres. That's another interesting one. Why? Because the Padres are good enough to score a lot of runs. And you are going to go against San Diego with the best of your rotation. Morton, Fried, Elder, Lopez. That's the best you got. And Sale, excuse me. You're going to go Fried, Elder. You're going Morton in the final series or final game against Chicago on Wednesday. Then on Friday, you get Thursday off against San Diego. You'll go with the top 4. Fried, Elder, Lopez, Sale. 1, 2, 3, 4. I like this series against Chicago because it is a great opportunity to get the bats right. Chicago's got decent pitching, but they're a good offensive team. And if you're going to beat this team, you will have to have good pitching to limit the offense. They were putting up 10 spots coming into this series. Their last game against Pittsburgh, they won, 10-9 or 11-10 in extras. They'll put up a 10 spot on you if you're not careful. So you got to have your good pitching against the Cubs in this 3-gamer. But more importantly, you're going to have to get better with the bats. You just do. We've been talking about this for weeks now. Got to get better with the bats. You got to get better with the bats, and you got to get better with your back-end pitching. One of the things that I absolutely need Snit to start working on, AJ Minter is not a 9th inning guy. I need you to stop throwing him out there like a closer. I know in that Mets game, AJ Minter gives up a two-run shot in the bottom of the ninth. It's a walk-off shot for the Mets. He's not a ninth inning guy. He just does not. He's a great eighth inning guy, great setup guy, great reliever, not a closer. Atlanta's going to have to find a closer at some point. And I don't know who you bring in. You got Iglesias, who is good, one of the better closers in Major League Baseball. AJ Minter's not. And I know you could not go to Iglesias in that final shot against the Mets. Couldn't go. He had pitched the night before, like 31 pitches. And unfortunately, that's the range where you can't bring him in the next day, at least according to Snit. What I need Snit to figure out is how to not send AJ Minter out there. I like AJ Minter. I think AJ Minter's still got a lot of good pitching in him, but he's just not a ninth inning guy. So in this spot, especially early, you've still got Iglesias available, back end guys available for this series early. You are going to have to hit the ball. And as I pointed out yesterday, you got the ball in play. Atlanta put up, 7 hits on Amaga early, which, again, one of the better, probably your rookie of the year, or at least going to be in the discussion. 5 innings, 7 hits, 3 walks, 8 Ks. Can't do that. But it is a good day when 8 out of the 9 guys who come to the dish get a hit. Acuna, Albies, Ozuna, Olsen, Duvall, Harris, Darno, and Short all got a hit. Acuna had an RBI. Zach Short got an RBI. The only guy who did not touch a baseball was Ozzy Albies, who K'd twice and flew or grounded out twice. I can't really ask for much more. You put together 10 hits in that game. Now, you got to do better with runners in scoring position, A. And the other thing that I got to be careful of, Ronald Acuna Jr. has got to be smarter on the base path. That last game they lost against the Mets, game 3, that they lost against the Mets, Ronnie got picked off twice in that game. Twice. Dude, you can't do that. You joined an elite. You didn't join an elite. You created an elite base stealing club last year. Created an elite base stealing club. I want you back in it. And I know it's going to be tough. I want you back in it. But you have got to be smarter at first base, man. Like, you're tipping something. And I've watched both of those pickoffs. You got picked off again yesterday, by the way. That is 3 times being picked off in the last 2 games. You should have 3 steals in the last 2 games, not 3 pickoffs. I don't know what Ronnie's doing to tip his hand, but he's doing something, and Snit and the boys have better figure it out. Because Ronnie needs to be an asset on the base path, not a liability. Ronnie's got to be stealing more than he's getting picked on an individual game-by-game basis. And the last 2 games, that's not been the case. So I don't know how you fix it. We'll find out. We'll find out as they move forward. How about this out of NASCAR? NASCAR following the NBA's lead on this one. Next season, NASCAR will unveil an in-season 5-race tournament designed to bring some attention to the mist of the regular season. The tournament will feature 32 drivers and will air on TNT's portion of the 2025 broadcast schedule. The final 3 races of the Amazon Prime portion of the broadcast schedule, races 15, 16, and 17, will be utilized to determine the seeding of the 32-driver field. Once the bracket is set, drivers will go head-to-head with the higher finishing drivers advancing to the next round, culminating in a winner-take-all $1 million prize in race number 5 or race number 22 of the regular season. They are effectively ripping off the NBA's in-season tournament. Do you want to know how I know the NBA's in-season tournament was a success despite the jokes cracked on the mayor of Los Angeles? Because everybody else is doing it. Everybody else is doing it. The only sport that I genuinely don't see going to this model is the NFL and college football. The football is the one sport, American football is the one sport that I do not see adopting an in-season tournament. I do think down the line, baseball adopts an in-season tournament, and it will be structured exactly the same as the NBA's. You will have sprinkled throughout the first half of the regular season games that count towards your regular season match, regular season record, but also count towards an in-season tournament. And I think you will end up with a very similar structure as far as a championship. You will have like a mini tournament where you bring the final 4 teams together, and if those 4 teams are scheduled to play each other remaining in the regular season, those games just get wiped off later, and you earn yourself a little 2 or 3 or 4 game break by making it to the semifinals and the finals, or whatever the case is going to be. And if they're not on that schedule, you'll find another way. You get a bump up in playoff seeds. I don't know how you structure it, but I would see baseball go in this direction. But the fact that NASCAR looked at this and said, let's make a tournament. NASCAR, a tournament, racing tournament. You finish in the higher position in a race, you move on. Now, I am going to say that there is one issue in this. What happens if you got 2 drivers that are head-to-head against each other in a bracket, and one of them gets knocked out of the race by something they have nothing to do with, like happened at the end of the Darlington race? You're going to have some drivers that get mad. You're going to have some fans that get mad. But does that drive people to or away from the tournament? I don't know. I mean, I think the added danger of the fact that you've still got to run with 30 other cars on a track kind of, to me, makes it more interesting. But that's just me as a fan. I'm probably going to look at this through the most biased, optimistic prism that I can. Is that what you were going to tell me?
I was going to say, meh.
Yeah, but at the same time, like,
I mean, it's something new for, and hopefully it works out for them. I just, I don't.
But, and I'm not saying this like any kind of way.
It's
you don't go out of your way to watch races anyway.
No, I know, but following the midseason tournament precedent, I guess, set by the NBA, I just don't think it's going to last.
I mean, again, I don't think anybody else is copying it if it failed, right? I understand there's a lot of people who don't like it, and this is one of those times that I am absolutely going to be a sports snob here. You don't like it because you don't get it, and that's okay. It's new. It's a new concept.
By the way, I do get it. I get what a mid-season tournament is. I understand how a tournament works.
Not you don't. I know you know what a tournament is. I'm saying the concept of why an in-season tournament should matter and is something you should desire to win.
Here's the thing.
You would.
Well, it's past time. So, all right, let's talk about what's Xing and not what's meh. The first thing that's Xing is GameStop.
GameStop. Oh, I actually do know why this is trending. So, year 2, 3, I don't know. Time is a flat circle. The 2 or 3 years ago, there was a run where the stock investment community on Reddit decided to, like, as a group of tens of thousands of them, go in and short GameStop stock, right? And because of the way that they did it, it caused GameStop stock to like shoot up in value. And then all those people got rid of those options, made a ton of money. It came crashing down to earth, created this big bubble. And people were like, oh, this is so weird. Like, you nerds figured out how to rig the system. They tried to create a bunch of legislation, realized they couldn't. Anyway, the guy who organized all of that, like, disappeared from the internet after that bubble. Like, he organized this whole thing. Then he just dropped off the face of the earth. Well, he resurfaced yesterday. He came back online yesterday, and now there's a lot of people like, is he going to do it again?
From my understanding, GameStop stock has already surged.
I believe it. Because I if they're going to do it again, because that was GameStop stock. God, that's hard to say. Became a meme on the internet for a while. It was a meme to own stock in GameStop. And then the problem was when he goes, hold, sell, then everybody who weren't online when he said that, they were left holding the bag and the stock plummeted and they lost a bunch of money, but all the people who were with him made a bunch of profit. So he showed up and everybody's like, oh, if he does it with GameStop again, I want to get in now before it skyrockets up and then I'll sell at the top. It is really interesting now that the next generation of nerds are figuring how to, I'm going to go full Liberob here, fight the system and try to get their slice of the pie. And the old investment, they hate it. And it is crazy fun to watch.
Yeah, they don't like it very much. All right, the next thing that's Xing is Mike Tyson.
Is that fight coming up? I don't even know what the date is.
It's July, but they had a press conference yesterday.
And let me guess, they talked smack to each other and then got up and then nothing happened.
Well, what did you expect? It's a press conference.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what's supposed to happen?
Mm-hmm. They sold some.
No,
some
I'm asking you what's supposed. I mean, the way you phrased it is like normally at a press conference this happens, but I guess it didn't happen. What do you expect to happen?
I expected nothing to happen.
It's Xing, and there's video, and Tyson is basically said he's going to kill him when he gets inside.
Yeah, for sure. Of course he is.
That's what Tyson does. He eats children and things like that.
Yep.
All right,
you know how old he is, Lonzo?
57.
He's 57 years old, and you guys are hyped about watching a freaking octogenarian fight.
By the way,
cool.
you were already gone. Had a wonderful discussion with Paige from 93.3 The Planet Rocks,
There it is.
and also she has her own show, and she's also with the Rise Guys.
She's an icon.
and with T2 about that, and they brought it up, and they were talking about how interested they are in this, and the fact that Joe Rogan has come out and said that he believes that Jake Paul is a real boxer, and then he gets he's got a bad reputation by some people who just don't like him because they don't want a YouTuber to move up and actually be successful.
Fight a boxer.
Yes,
he's fighting a 57-year-old man.
Yeah.
He's fighting a 57-year-old man, and he's going to sell that as, no, I'm a real boxer. Fight an average age good fighter. Fight a real boxer.
We'll have to listen to some Jake Paul tape and see if he sounds like that. I'm curious.
Have fun. I wish you all the best. Good luck. Enjoy. I'm not doing that. Hey, enjoy basketball tonight. Caitlin Clark on the floor for the first time in a regular season WNBA game. We will break that down and everything else on tomorrow's edition of the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate later. Yeah!
It's also George Lucas's birthday, so that might be just as controversial.
What's that? My headset's worn off yet.
It's George Lucas's birthday.
Ah.
How old do you think he is?
73.
He's 80.
Golly. Attaboy, George. Attaboy, George.
You know, he did.
I bet
he
Jake
did
Paul
some
wants to
movies.
fight him next.
He did some movies before Star Wars. You know, like American Graffiti.
He also did some movies after Star Wars.
He did. Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's about it, though, I think. He basically did Star Wars and said, you know what? I did the thing. I'll produce a little bit, start my own companies like ILM, you know, things like that.
Industrial Light and Magic.
And have a bunch of nerds who loved the movies when they were kids grow up and criticize them because they're not for them anymore.
No. Criticize them because they were bad.
I don't know.
Bad.
Yeah. Disagree.
The first movie of both trilogies was good. The second and third movies of both trilogies were bad. All right, dudes. Deadettes. Thank you all for Deadettes. What? Pink Panther?
Didn't know you were getting that, did you?
Why? Why did I do that?
I don't know.
I got nothing. All right. Thanks for being here. You're amazing people. Tell your friends about us. Help us grow the show. And we'll see you back here tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.